super dimensional strategy starting with Batman. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 227 Idiots and Gods. Although he said no, but Star-Lord finally answered point and wrong. This made his resentment towards the website deepened. Doctor Strange patted him on the shoulder and said to him, "Don't be depressed, let's go to Xandar first and warn the Nova Corps." Star-Lord said, "Yes, but before that, there is a small problem. My reputation on Xandar is a little bit bad. I'm afraid they won't believe me." Doctor Strange said helplessly, "It doesn't matter. Everything is mine." Star-Lord gave the coordinates of Xandar, but the coordinates are not very useful to Doctor Strange. He needs to be the specific appearance of Xandar after Star-Lord gave the specific shape of Xandar Star. Doctor Strange opened the portal and took Star-Lord to appear on Xandar Star. Doctor Strange said, "You stay right here. I'll warn Nova Corps first." The audience also began to discuss the strategy of Star-Lord. Constantine said, "I think 13 Raiders is actually very good Nova Corps and you can be said to be natural allies." Ego's power is also very powerful and can be used for Constantine. It is the best thing to be able to take down the enemy without taking a shot. Star-Lord angrily roared, "No, Egg must be handed over to me." At this time, everyone can understand Star-Lord's mood and understand why he wakes up Thanos in the future, but that doesn't mean it's not stupid. So Black Widow said to Star-Lord, "You can think about it. When Egg and Thanos were beaten to death, you showed up to him and said to him, 'You idiot, you know what? You've been fooled.' At that time, I was afraid that Egg's mood was even more uncomfortable and desperate than being killed by you." Star-Lord's eyes lit up. This scene, it seems to be not bad. Everyone couldn't help but complained in their hearts, "Isn't this the same as the monkeys who are in the middle of the night?" Natasha Romanoff is just another way of saying it. The essence has not changed, so this guy's actually an idiot. The strategy is almost settled like this. Originally, who else would they discuss watching the video next? Suddenly, Star-Lord, who was instructed by Doctor Strange not to move, rushed forward with all his strength. Then he caught up with a green-skinned woman and said, "Gamora." Gamora's hand had already touched her weapon. She turned her head and smiled and said, "What's the matter with you? Can't you see this projection screen?" Star-Lord pointed to the projection screen and then said, "You may not believe what I say now, but what I tell you next is the truth. So at the end of the day we'll form the Guardians of Galaxy and be a loving family. It's a pity that you can't see the projection screen in front of me now. Otherwise you will believe everything I say." Gamora smiled politely, then flew straight to Star-Lord's department. "Do you think I'm an ignorant little girl? I will believe this kind of words." But on the side of Star-Lord's body, Gamora's foot flashed past. He said proudly, "I will never be kicked for the second time by the same person." Suddenly, two vines got out of nowhere, entangled him and Gamora, and rolled into the air. Rocket Raccoon came out with a cloth bag and wanted to put the two in the bag and said, "Star-Lord, the reward is 40,000 yuan." Gamora offers a reward, the most dangerous woman in the universe, a fine of 8 million yuan. Groot, we sent it this time. Raw. Star-Lord interrupted the Tree Guru Rabbit's branches with 2 shots and said angrily, "Rocket Raccoon, you idiot, we will be Guardians of Galaxy. You are attacking me now." Gamora also cut off Groot's vine and kicked Star-Lord's gear with 1 kick. "You guys have fun here." After saying that, turn around and run. But was shot down by Rocket Raccoon. 4 people just like this, fighting nonsense while talking nonsense. Then they were captured by Nova Corps, and Dr. Key, who was doing business, was almost desperate when he saw this scene. This guy really is a full. Nova Corps commander Supreme Nova looked at the report from his subordinates and said, "This is what you call the Guardians of Galaxy? Will they help us resist Thanos or all in together?" Doctor Strange cupped his face and said, "Well, I was wrong. They're just idiots." He really couldn't understand Star-Lord's brain thinking style. The audience also felt extremely speechless to Star-Lord, and finally they took their attention back. Doctor Manhattan smiled and said, "Why don't you take a look at my strategy next? I'm curious, what will I see?" Because he can know what happened to him. So what happens every day to him is the same thing. Drive. Manhattan had not experienced this feeling of not knowing what was going to happen to him for a long time. Now this feeling is like a person who eats the same dish every day and suddenly sees a fresh, never before seen dish. He was so excited since Dr. Manhattan proposed this. No one objected. So Dr. Manhattan clicked on his strategy and popped up his business card. He was still blue on the business card with no traces of it. Name: Jonathan Osterman, Generation 140. Dr. Manhattan Introduction. With a quantum body, neither matter nor energy can quickly analyze any form of existence, understand its principle and essence. It can replicate itself infinitely, each with its own thinking ability, just like the Nauman, and can read all memories in the minds of all living beings. The use of particles that can dominate matter and energy, and can even completely destroy elementary particles and bring them back to nothingness. You can observe your own past and future. It can decompose and recombine all matter and energy composed of elementary particles. The body can reorganize at will, being able to create life. Drive. Manhattan in the comics has more powerful abilities, such as being able to drive time and modify the timeline at will. It also possesses the power of entanglement, which can create matter and law out of nothing. Ability to manipulate probability, similar to Scarlet Witch. However, it was not reflected in the movie, and Supay did not add these but it is these profiles that have stunned everyone. What doctor? Isn't this a god? It seemed to them that Dr. Manhattan sounded a little crazy before, but now he seemed a little more modest. Chapter 228. Dr. Manhattan, you are no longer human. There are some things in The Watchmen that are more memorable. After all, it is based on the background of the battle. I'm afraid of breaking the ban. This chapter has been changed for a long time, and it is a bit late. Sorry, Magneto murmured. So the ability controlling magnetic field, you can master it if you want, governing the movement of all matter and energy. In theory, Dr. Manhattan is omnipotent. Dr. Manhattan said, the nature of magnetic fields. This one is relatively easy, so you can resolve black holes? Keisha said. Dr. Manhattan said, I have been to the surface of the sun to try to understand more intuitively how the sun burns. I haven't been to the black hole yet. If you have time, you can go and see it. Well, no running away. This guy is a god. At least in power. God is not as good as him. A god like Thor only controls the power of the thunder and lightning, and Dr. Manhattan, he controls everything. Dr. Manhattan looked at everyone's eyes and said, no, maybe you have misunderstood me. I'm not omnipotent, and there are some things I can't do, like. He thought about it for a long time and said, for example, I don't understand that the human world will develop like this. How long does it take you to think about something you can't do? This is so much more Versailles than Versailles. So, you're also a pure science student, and you can understand everything on a physical level. Holly said, but you can't understand the formation of the human world. You can't understand how the human world works. I happen to have a book here. I suggest you read Zebulon. Dr. Manhattan said, that's a cancer of the mind. I'm just an atomic physicist. I'm not interested in that at this time. The screen popped up. The still human Jonathan Osterman is chatting with his girlfriend Jenny. Suddenly he remembered the glasses he had forgotten in the lab, and he went in to get them. As a result, the laboratory was suddenly closed, and he was completely decomposed by the energy of the laboratory. The narration sounded in an unexpected quantum conversion experiment. Jonathan's own body was devoured by the energy of the experiment, where his mind is taken into an immaterial realm, where he understands everything about everything, and is in control of every elementary particle. Then he restructured his body. He has the power of a god, and the beautiful man calls him Dr. Manhattan. Those politicians hope that when the enemies of the beautiful country see him, they think of the nightmare that the beautiful country brings to them. Then, he was drafted and fought in the Southern War. Screen switching. Dr. Manhattan appeared on the battlefield of the Southern War. He easily decomposes all enemies, and humans are like ants to him, and they have no power to fight back. Then a man wearing a mask jumped out of the helicopter and pulled the flamethrower at the wounded, burning them into a pile of fireballs, and everyone here couldn't help it. The captain of the United States said, "My God, you fought in the South. You use your power to help the tyrants. This is not war at all. This is massacre." Although the captain of the United States is also a beautiful Chinese, but also a soldier, but he couldn't accept that Big Beauty had Dr. Manhattan in this kind of war. This is tantamount to directly dropping a black bullet. The Iron Man's eyes widened. "Doctor, you have the power of a god, but you use it to do these things. In fact, there are many people in the beautiful country who are also very disgusted with the Southern War." The famous Zippy cultural movement also emerged from that time point. No matter what it turned out to be, in the beginning, this movement was created to oppose war. These things are mentioned in Forrest Gump. The surprised look on Keisha's face disappeared, replaced by disdain. "You have the power of a god, but helping that group of politicians slaughter those weak humans and become their minions. Dr. Manhattan, you really disappoint me." Drive. Manhattan also thinks it is normal for them to see him this way, because there are many beautiful Chinese people who see him this way. But only when he is talking to these people from another universe. He will say the following words. He said, "At first I was just the son of a watchmaker, then I was an atomic physicist. I just accepted the call up habitually." The screen switches again. In a bar, the Joker, who had burned the wounded soldiers with a flamethrower, was drinking with Dr. Manhattan. The Joker said, "If we lose, then we'll be driven mad. I'm talking about our country, but we won, thanks to you." Drive. Manhattan said, "You speak as if you were bitter." The Joker smiled and said, "Bitterness? I also think you think it's all a joke." At this time, an Anon woman with a big belly walked in and said to the Joker, "Mr. Eddie." The Joker turned his head. "This is not what I want." The Anon woman said, "The war is over. We have to talk about this child." The Joker said, "There's nothing to talk about. I'm leaving. I'm going to forget you, along with your nasty hot useless country. Get out of here. You will remember me and my country." The woman smashed the bottle angrily and slashed at the Joker's face. The Joker took out his gun and pointed it at the Anon woman. Dr. Manhattan said, "No, don't do this." But the Joker pulled the trigger move twice. The woman fell in a pool of blood. Dr. Manhattan said, "She was pregnant, and you killed her." The Joker said angrily, "Yes, I killed her, but you're here too. You could totally steam my gun and melt the bullets, but you're just watching, and you're not doing anything. You don't care about humans at all." Doctor, seeing this, the audience immediately exploded. Superman couldn't help but scolded. Why? You just watched. Did it do? You think humans are just like ants? What's the use of your strength? The captain of the United States roared angrily. "Are you also considered a soldier like this? You are just executioners, murderers." Queen Keisha was also angry. "Murdered prisoners, shot a pregnant woman. This is what you do in war. It's such a misfortune to have you in this world." Iron Man covered his face. "I really don't want to know what exactly we did in Anon." Batman said, "No doubt we didn't do a good job over there, but shooting pregnant women is too much." Drive. Manhattan, "I don't think you're human anymore. Both biologically and sociologically, even an ordinary man would not watch someone shoot a pregnant woman in front of him and remain indifferent." Chapter 229. Infinite energy can't save the world. I'm no longer human. From biology to sociology, are they completely not human? It seems so but I still want to keep in touch from the human world. Is this a mistake? For the blame and anger of the crowd, Dr. Manhattan did not explain too much, and he did not care much about what others thought of him. The narration sounded again. "That's how the beautiful country won the war, but the country was in chaos. In those chaotic times, criminals put on various disguises for themselves. Some dressed up as pirates, some dressed up as demons to rob and killed all evil. This way, even if they are arrested, they can be released immediately. Because they were wearing masks, no one could identify them. So A few police officers got together. They also put on masks and punished the criminals with their own power, and they became vigilantes. Then, more and more people joined the ranks of the vigilantes, and they slowly formed a group called the Watchmen. Dr. Manhattan was originally one of them, but Dr. Manhattan is becoming less and less interested in things like fighting crime. Finally, he began to research a clean, pollution-free, and infinite energy source with the Pharaoh of the Watchmen, known as the smartest man on Earth. Screen switching. A reporter asked, "Mr. Witt, you are the only two members of the Watchmen who have disclosed their identity so far. A superhero transformed into a billionaire businessman, involved in many industries: toys, lunch meat, and genetic engineering. I heard there is a movie about you in the making. Did that former identity benefit you a lot?" The Pharaoh in the picture is elegant and handsome in a suit, and he says, "You asked the wrong question. You should ask me, will they hate me for selling the heroic deeds of my colleagues? You have to know that some extreme articles sell better." He smiled and said, "The big news. Now I have partnered with Dr. Manhattan to expand our laboratory in Antarctica. Hope to develop cheap and renewable energy and thereby end the world's dependence on fossil fuels. Those politicians are wrong. The root cause of the battle is the fear of insufficient resources. If we could never run out of energy, war would never happen." Hearing this, Holly curled his lips. It seems that the so-called smartest person in the world is nothing more than that. In this world, most of the time wars are not a problem of insufficient resources, but a problem of resource allocation. In this era, the food grown on the land is enough to feed everyone, but there is a problem with distribution. Some people have nothing, and some people occupy too much. Keisha's eyes lit up. "You have said the crux of the problem. It seems that you have gained a lot from your strategy." The screen switches again. The Joker is drinking at home. Suddenly someone broke into his room and fought with him. The two of them clearly showed physical qualities beyond ordinary people, but that's about it. Then the Joker was killed and thrown downstairs. Seeing this, Iron Man whistled, "To be honest, I'm so happy to see this villain die. Captain the United States, good death." Everyone nodded, and no one had the slightest impression of the person who shot and killed the pregnant woman. The narration sounded while Dr. Manhattan was concentrating on the type of energy. The Joker was killed, and Watchman member Rorschach began investigating his death. He thought someone was hunting the masked vigilantes, so he started to track down the Joker's death and found Dr. Manhattan. He wanted to remind Dr. Manhattan, and he also wanted, or could get clues from Dr. Manhattan, but Dr. Manhattan lost his ability to read the future because of the influence of some Tachyon streams. He believed that a black war could happen in the future, so it affected his observation of the future, but he is still researching his own super energy and is not interested in Rorschach's words. However, at a press conference, some reporters accused him that it was the radiation he radiated that made his colleagues and friends develop cancer. Especially, the person who accused him was his ex-girlfriend Jenny. Drive. Manhattan couldn't stand this grievance and went to Mars alone, thinking about life there, and Rorschach did not give up his investigation until one day he was framed by someone and the police caught him. Wolverine said, "It seems that this Watchman is not a good thing. A scum like the Joker. If he dies, he will die, and he wants to avenge him." He was very displeased with the Joker's behavior, killing people on the battlefield. He doesn't feel anything, but wanton slaughter is unacceptable to him, which is why he parted ways with Striker, Sabretooth, not to mention, after the war, the act of shooting pregnant women. At this time, Dr. Manhattan, who had been accused of being silent since the beginning, said, "The comedian is a villain, a scumbag, but not all Watchmen are the same. Especially Rorschach, although he is a bit extreme, he is a scumbag. A true hero." Yes, even Dr. Manhattan thinks Rorschach is a real hero. To be praised by such an inhuman existence, the audience became curious about Rorschach. Screen switch. A lawyer said to Rorschach, who was arrested, "If you cooperate with me, maybe I can convince them to let you receive drug treatment. In the hospital. I think it's good for you, but the authorities want to keep you and the rest of the people together." Rorschach said disdainfully, "A prison is a prison." The Lawyer said, yes, the difference is that in prison you will be swallowed alive, and many people are sent in by you. Chapter 230 Dr. Manhattan is dead. The lawyer took a psychological test on Rorschach and said, you hate me. Why? Rorschach said, you are too fat, rich, and have a freedom complex. Or, your compassion, and compassion is about wanting to protect and understand crime. I think this will heal this rotten society. This is Kai Guoguo's compromise. Lawyers can't understand. Is it a compromise for your sake? Rorschach said, there are a lot of people here who are more extreme than me. Doctor, why don't you defend them? Because they are not as famous as I am, are they? If you want to know about Rorschach, I'll tell you about Rorschach. When a person has seen the darkest side of this society, he can never look back. Point. No matter who gave the order, I can't make me, like you, turn a blind eye and pretend that sin doesn't exist. I will do it, not because I'm allowed to do it, but I have to do it. I did it because I couldn't help it. I forced myself to do it. Point. Hearing the words downstairs, Batman was deeply moved. Point. Why did he become Batman? It is because, after seeing the darkest side of this society, he can no longer look back, and can no longer pretend to be invisible. Point. Even if 10,000 people are unwilling, he will force himself to become a Batman and fight crime. Even if, in a sense, he also becomes a criminal. Then the screen switches quickly. Point. A child saw his mother was picking up 8 customers, and was slapped and kicked out by her mother, who was still cursing. I should have fallen you in the first place. Vertical bar. The little boy's classmates ridiculed his mother for being a female. He fought with the classmates and bit a piece of meat from the classmate's face. Point. Then the kid grew up. Point. Until one day he put on a mask and became Rorschach. Point. The narration sounded, when Rorschach first became Rorschach, Rorschach was relatively soft on criminals and would leave them alive. Point. Until Rorschach went to investigate a kidnapping case. It was a 6-year-old girl who was kidnapped, and he found the whereabouts of the girl. But when he got there, he saw a scene he will never forget. Point. On the screen. Point. A dark house appeared. Point. Rorschach searched in it, but couldn't find the girl, and finally he found the girl's underwear in the trash can. He saw the blood on the table, saw the knives used to divide, and saw 2 dogs fighting for the stump of a girl. Their audiences faces were extremely ugly. Point. They could all imagine what happened to this girl before she died. Point. Then the criminal returned, and Rorschach threw the bodies of the 2 cannibalizing dogs on the criminal, knocking the criminal to the ground. Point. The criminal said in horror, who are you? You killed my dog. It seems that the death of his dog makes him more sad than he kills a man. Rorschach threw the girl's underwear on the criminal. Point. The criminal said, do you think I have anything to do with that girl? It's mine. You have no evidence at all. This kind of thing is not evidence at all. Point. The ink on Rorschach's mask changed rapidly. The criminal saw that Rorschach was suppressing his emotions. He no longer denied it, and said nonchalantly, okay, I admit, I kidnapped her, I killed her, arrest me. But Rorschach ignored him at all, and the criminal panicked. Arrest me, quickly arrest me, and hand it over to the police. I need help. I have a problem with my brain. I have a mental illness. Rorschach picked up the knife, raised it and dropped it. The scene was once extremely bloody. Point. Batman took a deep breath and suppressed the killing intent in his heart. He didn't know if he would be the same as Rorschach if he changed it. Point. He didn't know if he could hold back seeing this scene. Point. And he never thought that Rorschach did something wrong. Point. It's just that he may not do this because he is most afraid that once he breaks through the bottom line, he will be crazier than any criminal. He didn't know what would happen. Is it good or bad? Fortunately, now he has found a way to use his own advantages to deal a greatest blow to these criminals while maintaining the bottom line. Point. Thanks for the guide. Thanks, I'm a rich man. Superman gritted his teeth. In the eyes of these criminals, the police and prison are not their nemesis, but their savior, which is ironic. At this point Harley said, I used to be a psychiatrist, and I would study the reasons why some criminals committed crimes. In the beginning I was just trying to find out why they were committing crimes, so that I could prevent such criminals from being born in the future. But now I have discovered that when I study the reasons for these criminals' crimes, many people sympathize with these criminals. Isn't it funny. Fortunately, Harley did not meet Joker, otherwise she would fall in love with Joker because of this mentality and be controlled by Joker until the ego is twisted by Joker. No one in the crowd felt that Rorschach did something wrong, but they didn't know what it had to do with Dr. Manhattan. This is Dr. Manhattan's strategy. The narration sounded, Rorschach will never compromise on since then, so even if he was caught in prison, he still managed to escape from the prison to investigate the murderer who killed the Joker and assassinated the Pharaoh for flowers. In the end, he found out that all this was actually done by the Pharaoh. Even what forced Dr. Manhattan to leave Earth was the Pharaoh's calculations. He calculated Dr. Manhattan's psychological problems and interfered with Dr. Manhattan's future observations with Tachyon streams. Rorschach thinks that Pharaoh intends to provoke a black war in this world. He wants to stop Pharaoh, but Pharaoh is much stronger than him. He didn't make it. Screen switching. I saw a blue aperture suddenly appeared in the city, and then the blue aperture expanded, breaking everything down completely. Everyone was stunned. Isn't this similar to the energy of Dr. Manhattan? Iron Man was furious. This lunatic, why did he do this? The United States captain said, there are some lunatics who just want to destroy the world. We don't need to pay attention to their thoughts. Stop them. Just kill them. Point 0 and Dr. Manhattan himself understood at once. So it is. We have been researching new energy sources for so many years, and we have been studying how to replicate my energy, and the maintenance has been successful. But why would Werther do this? Drive. Manhattan, disturbed by tachyons, cannot see the future. Without understanding human nature, he couldn't even guess why the Pharaoh did this. The side continued, and at this time, Dr. Manhattan returned to Earth because the only girlfriend he still cares about in this world, the second generation of Silk Soul, asked him to come back and help mankind get rid of the threat of the Black War. It's a pity that Dr. Manhattan came back too late, and the Pharaoh's attack is over. Drive. Manhattan also discovered the Pharaoh's conspiracy. Screen switching. Dr. Manhattan has understood everything, and he teleports to Pharaoh's laboratory with his girlfriend. Rorschach said to him, you have to stop him. He killed millions. I see. Dr. Manhattan said. He walked into the Pharaoh's laboratory, and he said, the tachyon is a very clever trick. I didn't think of it. Adrian, I want to thank you, because I almost forgot about the unknown thrill, but you have to know that these things you prepared are useless to me. Just after he finished speaking, strange energy emanated from both sides of the passage. That was the energy of Dr. Manhattan, and this energy directly decomposed him. Did the omnipotent Dr. Manhattan just die? The state is a bit poor. Originally, Dr. Manhattan wanted to write more, but I didn't know that I couldn't pass the trial before, so I can only write simpler. 7. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 231. Rorschach, never compromise. However, before the audience could ask questions, a huge amount of Dr. Manhattan had appeared outside the laboratory, easily smashing the laboratory. Dr. Manhattan said, I'm very disappointed in you, Adrian. After I became like this, the first thing I learned was to reorganize my body. How could you kill me? I have walked on the surface of the sun and witnessed extremely small, extremely rapid changes in the microscopic world. Adrian, you are the smartest person in the world, but in my eyes, you are no different from the smartest termite, and you don't pose any threat to me. Pharaoh took out another instrument. Dr. Manhattan asked, what is this? Another ultimate weapon. The Pharaoh said, it is. He pressed the button. News appeared on all screens. It turns out that humans mistakenly thought that the previous blow was done by Dr. Manhattan. So the two superpowers put aside their prejudices and want to deal with Dr. Manhattan together. The threat of Black War no longer exists. 143. The Pharaoh said, look, the two superpowers have ceased fighting, and I have rescued the Earth from the brink of hell. We both have credit, and this is our shared victory. The Audience was stunned. Zabin trembled. Is he crazy? Killed millions? Do you think you're saving the world? There are only tens of thousands of people in her world beacon, and killing millions of people is a tragedy she can't imagine. But he brought peace back to the world, Luthor said. Superman shook his head and said, I would never approve of such a thing, ever. Optimus Prime also said, I would never agree with such a thing. Doctor, you would not agree with his philosophy. Drive. Manhattan was silent. On the screen. Seeing that Dr. Manhattan seems to be persuaded. Rorschach said angrily to Pharaoh, we should execute justice, and everyone will know what you have done. The Pharaoh said to him, will it be? If you reveal it, you will destroy the peace that so many sacrifice today. Peace based on lies. Peace based on lies is also peace. At this time, Dr. Manhattan said, he is right. Revealing Adrian will only once again expose the world to the threat of Black War. Rorschach took off the mask and said, if you had cared about it in the first place, none of this would have happened. I can change almost everything, but I can't change human nature. Dr. Manhattan said. Rorschach said, now that you definitely want to maintain Weather and his new utopia, what about another corpse in the Foundation? Then what are you waiting for? Go on. Rorschach would never compromise on such a thing. As long as he is alive, he will definitely make this public. Dr. Manhattan knew this, and when he finally raised his hand, Rorschach turned into a pile of blood. The audience went crazy seeing this. Batman said angrily, you killed him? You lunatic, you killed him. He saw too much in common with himself in Rorschach. Dr. Manhattan said, I haven't done this yet, and if I do in the future, it will only be for the sake of peace. Thor's mouth showed a trace of disdain, and sneered fiercely, if this is the way of thinking of higher creatures, I don't think where is higher. Pharaoh killed millions of innocent people, but you say he saved the world. Rorschach wanted to tell the world that he was really like, but you killed him. Is there anything more absurd than this? Wonder Woman sneered, if you think you can sacrifice millions of innocent people for world peace, it's better to sacrifice one person. After all, it is because of your existence that the two superpowers are so radical, and you are the one who makes the world dark and dark. If you die, the world will be at peace. She, who has come from that era, knows better than anyone why in the world of Dr. Manhattan, people's fear of the Black War is so strong, because Dr. Manhattan is too strong, giving another superpower huge amounts of pressure. That superpower must put on a posture that will die with you at any time, to suppress the fear in your heart. Liu Peqiang said, in our world, half of human life has been sacrificed for the world, but it shouldn't be like that. We told everyone the truth. We at least gave everyone a chance to live by drawing lots, but Pharaoh didn't. He privately decided the lives and deaths of millions of people, and it was just wishful thinking. Luog shook his head and said, in order to survive, I once destroyed a galaxy and even made a bet on the survival of 2 civilizations. I can be said to be the biggest villain in this universe. It can be said that when it comes to doing evil, I'm better than Pharaoh. The king is much more evil. I have no right to condemn anyone, but this kind of thing makes me feel very uncomfortable. Dr. Manhattan said, this kind of thing should definitely not be. But if it has happened, this is definitely the most rational and optimal solution. Batman shook his head angrily and said, as Rorschach said, if you cared about it from the beginning, when he went to find you, you cared, and such a thing would never happen. You didn't care about human beings at all at that time. Why did you suddenly care at this time? If you are really rational, you can have a way to destroy all the black weapons in the world, and you can also save that pregnant woman. It's a disaster for someone as vacillating and immature as you to have so much power. His words hit the heart of Dr. Manhattan's problem. Dr. Manhattan is now extremely powerful, but his mind is not. It will be easily calculated by the Pharaoh because of emotions, and easily persuaded by the Pharaoh because of reason. He was counted to death by the Pharaoh. It can be said that if the Pharaoh really wanted to kill half of the world's people, he can also say that Dr. Manhattan can help. In this sense, Pharaoh is really the smartest person in the world, Keisha said. How unfortunate is that world to have you. Only one God point. However, such a will is not firm, and it is easy to be instigated by others. This is simply a disaster at this time. The narration sounded again. Drive Manhattan has the power of a god, or a power that does not even have a god. It's a pity that such power made him lose his purpose, and he didn't know what he wanted. My strategy for Dr. Manhattan is to stop it with all my strength before it happens. Pharaoh's plans are very stupid. It's a fact that one super enemy would unite two superpowers, but then, when the threat is gone, doesn't everything go back to where it was? Weren't these two superpowers allies in World War II? What happens when there are no enemies? It's like a seriously ill person. You gave him a strong medicine to save him from a critical condition and give him a sigh of relief, but the root of his disease is still there. The medicine has worn off, and he will soon die. There's a saying that you can't fool all the people all the 0.7 times. Pharaoh's lies cannot remain unexplained. It will only be a bigger disaster by then. If you don't want to do this, you can use your power to truly rule the world and let them build a beautiful world according to your wishes. Do what a god is supposed to do, instead of being a tool for others to use all the time. Whether it's on the battlefield of Yunnan or the utopia of Pharaoh now, you are a tool used by others. If you still don't want to, then leave the earth and go to the universe to find what you want. A creature must have what it wants, otherwise it will not be alive. This is the most important thing in this strategy. I know that if I write this, many fans of Watchmen will scold me, but in my eyes, the Joker and the Pharaoh are so black that they can't be blackened, and they can't be washed white. Maybe I'm superficial, forgive me. Chapter 232 Wonder Woman. From Dr. Manhattan's point of view, Subei's first strategy is still reliable, but it's hard to say whether the following one's a reliable point. But there is one thing that Dr. Manhattan actually thinks makes sense. Point, that is, he is too confused. He has become like this. He is omnipotent. He can get whatever he wants, but he does not know what he wants. He really doesn't know. He went to the South battlefield because of the president's call-up. Point, he and Pharaoh studied harmless and clean energy together. Because of Pharaoh's righteousness, he was willing to go back to stop the Black War. Because the second generation of Silk Soul begged him. Point, he was reluctant to let Rorschach expose Pharaoh's intentions. Because the words of Pharaoh moved him from start to finish. Nothing he wanted to do was what he really wanted. What does he want? He really doesn't know. Subei, who was peeping at the screen, felt that he might have to give Dr. Manhattan some extra credit, so he decided to do something. Point, he uses the Chaos Mind to influence Drive Manhattan through a parallel universe teleporter, but he doesn't have much faith, because Dr. Manhattan is almost the most powerful one in his current audience. Point, the Superman in the movie definitely can't beat him. Point, Jane Grey and Scarlet Witch could match his strength if they were the most powerful. Point, Keisha is hard to say. After all, Keisha can also know a person's past through dark matter reading, and can also deduce the future through her own super system. Point, a void engine can also redefine the concept of things, but Keisha is stronger than Dr. Manhattan in Subei's eyes, because Keisha knows what she wants, and has been working hard for it. Point, and Dr. Manhattan doesn't know. Point, the audience unabashedly revealed their dislike for Pharaoh and Dr. Manhattan. Point, after all, Dr. Manhattan's behavior can be called confusing, and even if it is correct, it will not please everyone. Point, but Dr. Manhattan doesn't care. He is also thinking about the most important sentence in the Subei strategy. What do I want? But for a while, he really couldn't understand this matter at this moment. He seemed to hear a strange sound. Point, the sound seemed to be like countless human voices, animal voices, various audible and inaudible bands mixed together, and then randomly ripped into pieces. A mess of words, an indescribable mess. Even Dr. Manhattan's consciousness went into chaos in an instant. Point, the audience saw Dr. Manhattan, who had already put on a suit, and suddenly the suit disappeared. Again. Point, the clock-like building he built on Mars collapsed in an instant, and then a crooked crystal statue appeared. Point, it was as if countless balls of light, dense mixed together, like numerous road layers of the door. At this moment, Dr. Manhattan returned to normal. Point, he was staring at something, mouth open. Point, this is something I made out of 100%, but I do not remember when I did this, and why I do it. I just thought I heard something. but nothing seems to hear. In that 2 *** secretary tired that he lost consciousness. I do not know what they are doing. After a lapse of so many years, the first time he felt the unknown brings huge amounts of stimulation. This kind of stimulation surprised him and scared him even more. Surprisingly, there are things in this world that I can't understand at all. The same is true of fear. He looked at the statue, trying to figure out why he wanted to create something like this. Viewers were surprised to see Dr. Manhattan's behavior. Finally, Dr. Manhattan came back to his senses and said, "I suddenly lost consciousness for a moment just now and didn't know what I was doing. And then I made this statue. Is this website related? Do you know what that means?" Keisha's face changed slightly. Although he was dissatisfied with the performance of Dr. Manhattan just now, that was not the current Dr. Manhattan after all. She said, "I met once and also lost all consciousness. My feeling might be that the producers of the site wanted to talk to me, but just hearing his voice throws me into chaos." Drive. Manhattan nodded. "Is that so? That's really interesting." He looked at the statue he made by himself, and his eyes were no longer confused, and finally a curious light flashed. And Sube himself let out a long breath. The chaotic mind can even affect Dr. Manhattan. This skill is really outrageous. If Dr. Manhattan can really decipher what this is, that would be a good thing for Sube. 2. He also wondered what the source of the chaotic nature was after finally reading Dr. Manhattan's strategy. Everyone's mood has calmed down a lot. Wonder Woman said, "Then look at my guide. I'm also curious, what will my guide say?" After he finished speaking, he clicked on his strategy and popped up her business card. In the picture, she is still wearing her own armor, which is extremely cool. Name: Diana. Codename: Wonder Woman. Introduction: daughter of Zeus, princess of the Amazons, god of war of Olympus, demigod body, one of the founders of the Justice League, with the lasso of Mantra, the silver bracelet of guardianship, the sword of Vulcan. Many treasures, a true warrior, a fearless warrior. For some information, the old viewers are clear. They are very curious what Wonder Woman's 143 strategy looks like. What will it say on the screen? On the picturesque Paradise Island, the young Wonder Woman Diana is standing on the edge of a cliff, looking no different from now. The narration sounded, "Diana, the daughter of Zeus and the princess of the Amazons, has been living on Paradise Island without any worries until one day a plane broke into the island." In the picture, a plane crashed into the sea crookedly. After the Wonder Woman on the beach saw it, a fierce man plunged into the bottom of the sea. The flight crew was rescued. And when they saw the pilot, everyone was stunned. Because this man actually looks exactly like Captain Kirk. Captain Kirk stared blankly at Flight Officer Steve and said, "This is my alternate universe variant. No wonder you looked at me so strangely before." The lucky guy, as soon as he appeared on the stage, it was a bridge for the beauty to save the hero. Dr. Manhattan's strategy made him want to doze off. Excited to see this history. As expected of me, even in a parallel universe, I can get such a positive one update. I'm in a very bad state today, more than 15,000 words a day. I have never read it. I can't stand it. I hope I can sleep well today, and I can make up for today's poor update tomorrow. Chapter 233: The Female Warrior of the Amazons. Dr. Manhattan looked at the young and beautiful Wonder Woman and exclaimed in his heart, "It's really beautiful." There is no doubt that, apart from the power that even the gods cannot match, Dr. Manhattan is actually an ordinary person. Soft ears. See Strange Thoughts. When he met the second generation of Silk Soul, he was still with his girlfriend Jenny. But cheated. Can you imagine that this man with the body of a blue prince, who is regarded as a god, would cheat on his girlfriend behind his back, just because the second generation of Silk Soul is more beautiful and younger? Later, Jenny was so easy to be targeted by the pharaoh, and it also meant revenge. Then Manhattan shook his head, with unspeakable joy welling up in his heart. Sure enough, I'm not without humanity. I need to face up to my humanity. This swept away the depression caused by his wrong answer to the question earlier, and Wonder Woman looked at Captain Kirk and said, "Steve is Steve. You are you. Don't compare you to him." The Flash looked at the beautiful Paradise Island and the beautiful and strong Amazon female warriors on the island, and couldn't help but say, "Is this the Amazon Paradise Island? It's more beautiful than I thought." In the lead version of Justice League. The Flash was moved by Wonder Woman. After all, young people, Aquaman. Arthur cast a glance. I don't care to say you. Do you think Paradise Island is beautiful? You think beautifully, but men are not allowed to go to Paradise Island, and you are afraid that you will be skinned and beheaded. The Amazons and the Atlanteans were feuds. Aquaman grew up on the ground. Although he didn't see himself as an Atlantean, he also had this natural misunderstanding of Paradise Island. Wonder Woman shook her head, disdain for arguing with the little brat. Next to it sounded, Paradise Island is hidden by Zeus, and the world cannot see it. They also occasionally contact the outside world to understand some changes in the outside world. Just like Diana, she is proficient in almost all human languages and has a wealth of knowledge that ordinary people can't imagine. It's a pity that, although the world hasn't changed much in thousands of years, there has been a big technological explosion in the last 100 or 200 years, and the rhythm of the outside world has become very fast. Paradise is still at the slow pace it used to be, so Diana and the whole of Paradise didn't know what the German plane meant. Screen switching. The sun is shining brightly in Paradise Island, and Kelly is incomparable. Outside Paradise Island, however, there was a thick layer of fog, and a group of German soldiers, with their battleships, chased Steve and Minimum into Paradise Island. Seeing this, everyone couldn't help but wonder. Thor is incomprehensible. Is the barrier under Zeus so easy to break into? Wonder Woman said, no, this is not an enchantment. It's just that Zeus made the Paradise Island invisible and cut off the sight of Ares, the god of war. In our records, we haven't encountered a human ship for thousands of years, and human sailing technology can't get here at all. Neither Zeus nor we thought that human beings would develop into this in just 100 or 200 years. Her voice was a little low. This was the first time she encountered a war. For the first time, I saw my compatriots die in front of me. The Amazons are a belligerent people, never afraid of death in war, but also feel uncomfortable because of these deaths. On the screen. The Germans have found out that Kirkbo is wrong. It's Steve. Steve and Wonder Woman, they got on immediately opened fire. Just at this time, the queen of the Amazon with Amazon warriors arrived. They fight back to be in the hands of the bow and arrow. Even their arrows, the German long-range gunshot was perspective. Then one of them with a bow and arrow in the side of the cliff with a sling jumped down from the cliff. They are very brave, very fearless, but their bodies are not hard dangs hidden. They may still carrying a hail of bullets to kill the Germans, killing Germans off their feet. Black Widow stared. You cannot use Amazon withstand bullets. Do you have lead and Darkseid fought like magic? It is actually a human weapon. Down. I remember once a moonshot burst Darkseid warships. She cannot understand. Luna is our patron saint, but we are not Amazons. Luna. Wonder Woman. We just Amazon people of God the creator, but not mythical creatures. We are more intelligent than humans, stronger, but at that time we did not know what kind of gun is a weapon. Amazon cannot use the flesh hard dangs hidden, except her. Even if she was hit by a bullet, the body will feel the pain. Do not underestimate the gun, which is human for thousands of years, the culmination of all the wisdom of the most efficient murder weapon. Spanish with dozens of guns on vertical and horizontal cards on the American continent. Amazon definitely. If people knew mankind has invented a gun, such weapons, they will not charge this intensive form. They will change tactics to do more protection, but now they suffered a major loss. Aquaman. Arthur said, it's just their lack of preparation. It may. I heard that there is a war behemoth Amazon people. If you take this weapon out, these Germans not vulnerable. In fact, even if these people do not take the war behemoth Amazon, they still wipe out the Germans. Even the two ships is also their strategic breakpoint, but at the cost of Parlita's sister Andiop. Battleship artillery was directly killed. See here. Do not sigh from the audience. Burst. They have seen the General Andiop at war with the gods in the Nasdaq seed. In that war she also led the way to a block 100. Who would have thought that a guardian hero world will fall under human gunfire. Sube seeing this, some of the same feelings, because when he was watching a movie, and it was good, Shiopu was killed by a bullet. But he cut out of the video and Tiochop, but was killed by a gun battleship. What's this? Initiative to amend bug. Therefore, the parallel universe, because the film produced, but also has its own logic, including point narration sounded. Because of the German invasion, to let people know that Amazon has changed the outside world, young Diana believed to be the god of war and confusion cover human war, as long as the world is rid of heirs the peace, because the story about Zeus, she's talked to his mother, heirs is provoking all war's culprit. At that time she was too young, too naive, she did not know the human war, do not need heirs suffering from confusion. Last night my mind confused, forgot to write award Dr. Manhattan, the answer is a patch, more late, sorry, I slept until noon up. Chapter 234. This woman is damn sweet. Hearing this narration, the audience couldn't help but look at Wonder Woman. Before, they also saw the pictures of Wonder Woman killing decisively in other people's strategies. I really never thought she would have such a naive side. Wonder Woman laughed at herself and said, if I never leave Paradise Island for the rest of my life, maybe I think so for the rest of my life. The narration continues. Steve is not a German officer, he was a British spy who discovered that the Germans were secretly working on a weapon with huge amounts of power, so he stole the formula for that weapon and escaped with the intent of passing the information back to England. It's a pity that he is located on Paradise Island, and Diana decided to leave Paradise Island with him to find heirs and kill him. In order to kill heirs, Diana also took away the god-killing weapon on Paradise Island. It is said that it was created by Zeus to kill the gods. From then on, her divine power was gradually stimulated, because she is different from the other Amazons. She was created by Zeus himself, and possesses unimaginable powers. Screen switching. Wonder Woman, whose previous performance on the battlefield was only similar to that of ordinary Amazon, suddenly changed. Leaping dozens of meters, she crossed the deep canyon. Her hand easily smashed the outer wall of the fortress, where the god-killing weapon was stored, and climbed up step by step. Take away the 143 Sword of God. But before she left, her mother led someone to catch up with her. Wonder Woman said, "Mother, I have to go. I can't watch innocent people die in vain, and if no one is willing to fight heirs, then I have a duty." Queen Hippolyta said, "I know I can't stop you, but there are so many things you don't understand." Wonder Woman said, "I know a lot, and I'm willing to protect the weak who can't protect themselves, just like you." Seeing this, Keisha smiled. "Although it's silly and naive, I like you." Everyone in the Justice League didn't know until now why Wonder Woman left Paradise Island. I just heard that there are millions of people out there who are at war. Is she willing to die alone? This kind of behavior makes them very admire. The narration sounded. Steve took Wonder Woman to England, where she came into contact with the human world, saw the beauty of the human world, and made good friends. Screen switching. Wonder Woman was wearing a black dress, but only her armor was on inside. She said to Steve, "We agreed. I will take you away from Paradise Island. You will take me to heirs. You must not break your word." Steve said, "When I turn in this note, I'll buy you a ticket and send you to the battlefield." Wonder Woman was very dissatisfied, and she showed the battle suit inside with her hips akimbo. Then Steve pulls up Wonder Woman's clothes. "I need to buy you a suit first." Wonder Woman looked at the women on the street and said helplessly, "These women, what are they wearing to fight?" Then, seeing a child beside her, she couldn't help rushing over for a while, trying to pinch the child's face. "This is a child. It's so cute." Paradise Island has no children. Because the Amazons are creatures created by God. They have an extremely long lifespan for humans, and they do not need children. Wonder Woman is an exception. But her appearance scared the lady next to her, thinking she was a human trafficker, and was taken away directly by Steve. Screen switching. Steve's secretary reached out to Wonder Woman and said, "Introduce yourself. I'm Art Candy." Mr. Steve's secretary. Wonder Woman said blankly, "What is a secretary?" "It's just that I listen to him and do whatever he tells me to do," Candy said. Wonder Woman frowned. "We call this a slave there." The screen switches again. Candy took Wonder Woman to buy clothes. She looked at the female conjoined body and said, "Is this the armor of your country?" Candy was dazed. "It's fashionable. It's tummy tuck." Wonder Woman was also at a loss. "Why do you have to tuck your belly, Candy?" was taken aback. Women who don't have tummy ask that point. Then Wonder Woman began to try on clothes. She put on a dress, kicked the dress aside, and asked, "Why are you wearing this to fight?" Candy hastily stopped her. A group of compatriots looked at with smiles. "This woman looks so good, no matter what she wears." The screen switches again. Point at a train station. Point Wonder Woman took a bite of an ice cream and then said to the hawker with a happy face, "This is so delicious. You should be very proud that you created this food. That's your pride." At this moment, no one can connect her to the warrior who can stand up to Doomsday. Point the Flash is even thinking, even if we are a lot older, but I'm not unacceptable. Can I try to catch this woman? This woman is damn sweet. Point it's not just all of his male compatriots who feel that way. Point so cute. Such a Wonder Woman is so cute. Point even Superman and Batman think so. Point the Wonder Woman they know is a shrewd and powerful group who is not afraid of death and is fierce. Point who would have thought that she used to be so cute. Point Zatanna looked at Captain Kirk and said, "Men compatriots, especially this one, put away your dirty eyes." Captain Kirk coughed softly. "Is it wrong to say that we only appreciate beauty? Damn, you don't know how much I envy that Steve right now." Point the narration sounded again. After entering the human world, Diana felt the beauty of the human world, but it's also full of confusion about the human world. Screen switching. Point Sir Patrick Morgan, a member of the House of Lords, said to Wonder Woman and Steve, "Is there anything I can do for you?" Steve took out the secret German recipe he had stolen and said, "I found out that the Germans are developing a powerful weapon that could change the course of the war." Sir Morgan said, "Come with me." Point he then took the two to a military meeting. Point those officials were studying the notebook, but they couldn't read it. Point Wonder Woman said, "It's written in Ottoman and Sumerian. I'm not the only one who knows it." Then she took the notebook and began to explain to the officers, "This is a new type of gas formulation. Mustard gas, hydrogen, was used instead of sulfur." The lawmakers were shocked that gas masks could not stop the ammonia gas, but now World War I is almost over and they are negotiating with Germany about Germany's surrender. They were reluctant to attack the German General Ludendorff at this time. Point Wonder Woman doesn't understand. She doesn't understand at all why the enemy has already made such a dangerous weapon, but you are indifferent because of this ridiculous reason. Chapter 235 Collapsed Wonder Woman. Seeing this scene, the audience felt a familiar feeling again. Point the United States captain scoffed, "So you know why I don't trust this group of people. In terms of disappointing people, they never disappoint." Now that the beautiful country has learned about Thanos, the high-level officials have begun to build spaceships and want to escape the world with the elite. Point so even Nick Fury nodded when he heard this. None of these politicians can be trusted. Point the narration sounded because the council disagreed. Wonder Woman and Steve decided to destroy Ludendorff's gas plan themselves. Even they were funded by Sir Morgan, and Diana finally saw the worst side of the human world. War. The screen switches quickly. Point a group of wounded soldiers passed by on a bridge. Point all of them had their hands and feet broken, and the bodies of an unknown number of people were directly sent back. Come on the battlefield. Countless people died tragically, and countless people were displaced. There is also a village where gas bombs were dropped by the Germans, and everyone died tragically. The side continued. Diana finally found Ludendorff. She thinks that Ludendorff is the incarnation of Ares, the god of war, who persuaded mankind to start a war. She thought killing Ludendorff would stop everything. Screen switching. Point Ludendorff, who had been strengthened by the strengthening serum created by Dr. Poison Pill, was extremely powerful. Point comparable to the captain of the United States. Point Wonder Woman desperately killed him. Point then she laughed, and she thought that by killing Ludendorff, killing Ares, the war was over, but she was wrong. Point the war was still going on, and the Germans were still delivering their gas bombs. That's when Steve found her. Wonder Woman looked bewildered and fearful. "I killed him. He is dead, but everything goes on. Kill the god of war, and the war will end." "Why is this happening?" Steve said. "End the war. Yes, let's stop it." Point Wonder Woman is like a stubborn child. She shook her head and said, "No, it's all over. The god of war is dead. Why don't they stop fighting? Why do they keep going?" Point they can stop. Why continue? She was almost out of control. Her faith collapsed. Steve said, I don't know, maybe it's our nature, with or without heirs, we will still kill each other. Wonder Woman can't accept this, it shouldn't be like this, they are killing each other, they are killing old people, women and even children. No, it must have been heirs. If it wasn't for heirs. Speaking of this, her eyes changed, and she looked at Steve with despair in her eyes. Maybe my mother was right, the world isn't worth saving, Steve said. Maybe you're right, you think I'm on the battlefield, don't I understand seeing so much. I also want to be able to tell you that it's all one bad guy's fault, but it's not like that. It's not one person's fault, we are all at fault. The goddess woman shook her head and said, I'm not wrong, Steve said. You are not wrong, but I'm also wrong. This war is wrong. If you think this war is wrong, then help me stop it, please. Come with me. Wonder Woman shook her head with tears in her eyes, desperate. She does not want to participate in human wars anymore. Steve said. Then I have to go. He led people into the German base. And Wonder Woman just looked at it like this, unmoved at all. At this moment, she felt something strange, turned her head, and saw a person who should never be here. Sir Morgan. Sir Morgan said to her, you are right, they do not deserve our help. They deserve only to be destroyed. Wonder Woman's eyes became sharp. You are him. Are you heirs, sir? Morgan said, yes, but I'm not what you think. The goddess woman found her own divine weapon, ignoring Air's chatter, and the divine weapon in her hand slashed towards Air's, the god of war. 4 flowers. And Air's just stretched out his hand, and the divine weapon shattered instantly. Air smiled and said, this is not a god-killing weapon. You are. Only one god can kill another god. It is absurd that Zeus kept the child he had with the Amazon Queen as a weapon against me. You know, I didn't start all the wars, including this time. The war was provoked by human beings, and I just gave them a little help. For example, they are provided with a recipe for gas bombs. For example, they are taught how to strengthen human beings and make human beings stronger. But it was never my war. When I saw you, I wanted to kill you directly, but then I realized that I don't have to, because if you look in the world, you see human nature, you'll be on my side then. After mankind has committed suicide, we can turn this world into a paradise before mankind appeared once and for all. After speaking, Ayers actually performed an illusion, showing a world of ruins, and then everything in this world grew and flourished. Instead, Loki said, I've said it before, humans are just that bad, or you should promise him. Loki, not hot anyway, uncomfortable. The audience did not speak, but all of a sudden they became a little nervous, although they all knew that Wonder Woman didn't promise to be in Ayers, but Wonder Woman, whose faith just collapsed, is easy to be fooled at this time. After all, the performance of human beings is very unbearable in many cases, but Wonder Woman shook her head and said, I will never join in with you. Yes, the god of war said, I don't want to kill you, but if necessary, I will not refuse. Then there was a strong light from his body, which directly blew Wonder Woman away. Ayers descended from the sky, controlling all attacks on Wonder Woman's sword. Wonder Woman couldn't even get close to him, and even her mantra lasso couldn't move Ayers at all. 7 Chapter 236. This woman is damn powerful. Wonder Woman was knocked out again. Steve rushed to her side. What did he say to her? But Wonder Woman was knocked out by Roar, and Ayers blew her up with hundreds of grenades, so that she couldn't hear Steve's voice at all. Then Steve climbed into the gas bomb and took control of the plane. At this time, Ayers finally got serious. Countless flames ignited, and the steel melted instantly, covering him to form a suit of armor. Looking at this armor, the old audience recognized him. The Flash was shocked. Didn't he slash the god of Darkseid with an axe in that ancient war? So that's the god of war. Although in the previous strategy, Darkseid only appeared once. But his power left a deep impression on the audience. 147 God of War is so powerful that he can even seriously injure Darkseid. What does Wonder Woman use to fight him? But Wonder Woman is still alive. That means she won. How strong does Wonder Woman have to be? On the screen, Ayers, the god of war, stepped out of the fire, and anything in his hands would be turned into a weapon. Wonder Woman, who fought again, was losing ground. Wonder Woman becomes stronger and stronger as she fights. but she is still trapped by Ares at this time. In the sky, Steve with gas bombs detonated the gas bombs, igniting them. This modified gas bomb is a hydride, which ignites in case of fire. This plane has too many gas bombs. The explosion damage range can reach 50 kilometers, and the set is a time bomb. Steve and his team have no way to dismantle it, only bomb. At that moment, Steve turned into light. Black Widow murmured, "It seems like everyone named Steve has this fate, isn't that the same with the Captain of the United States?" Watching this scene, Wonder Woman was furious, killing all the German soldiers still besieging Steve's squad in an instant. Ares, the god of war, laughed and said, do it right, you should kill them like this." He threw the gas bomb making Dr. Poison Pill in front of Wonder Woman and said, "Ask her to see if I lied to you. Let's see if I instigated them to make seed gas bombs." Wonder Woman looked at Dr. Poison Pill's expression and knew Ares wasn't lying. Ares said, "Kill him and they all deserve to die." He's still trying to control Wonder Woman. However, at this moment, Wonder Woman finally recovered a trace of clarity from the anger and grief of leaving. She finally heard what Steve had just said to her. "I'm here to save today. You're here to save the world." "I'm going to save the world." Wonder Woman walked towards Ares. "Steve has saved today, and I'm going to save the world." The God Slayer's divine power was fully stimulated at this moment, and even her headband and closed ring were agitated by the divine power, changing color. She said, "Humans are exactly like you said, but not only that, they have another side." In Steve, Wonder Woman saw the best of human beings. Ares can't accept this. "Even though you have seen the cruelty and despicableness of human beings, you still don't wake up." Countless steel turned into weapons and rushed towards Wonder Woman. But before those weapons approached, they were smashed by Wonder Woman's divine power. Wonder Woman raised her hands. The Guardian Silver collided, and a shockwave knocked down Ares, the god of war, in an instant. Ares, the god of war, grabbed with one hand, and a bolt of lightning turned into a spear and hit Wonder Woman. But it was smashed by Wonder Woman's palm. Even those electric lights were absorbed by her bracelet. Yes, god of war, can't believe that Wonder Woman can be so strong. Is she just a demigod? Ares raised his hands to the sky, pulling endless thunder and lightning down. That terrifying thunder light illuminates the sky. It made the audience in front of the screen feel a numbness. Doesn't this feel weaker than Thor and Wonder Woman guards Yondu once again, blocking this extremely terrifying thunderlight? Even the thunderlight was surrounded by her, and it was already under her control. She flew into the sky, and endless thunderlight fell, and with just one blow, the god of war was turned into pieces. God's weapon, it deserves its name. Thor's mouth widened. "How can you control lightning?" Wonder Woman said, "My father is Zeus, and lightning is his authority. As the divine weapon he created, it's not surprising that I can control lightning." Her mother told her that she was made of clay by Zeus, but Ares said that he was actually the daughter of Zeus and her mother. Obviously, Ares was telling the truth. What her mother said was like telling a child that you paid for the phone bill. So, she doesn't really like Zeus. Batman couldn't help taking a sip, and Wonder Woman was stronger than he thought. "I remember Ares, the god of war, who defeated Darkseid," he said. "You are so powerful. Can you defeat Darkseid alone?" Wonder Woman shook her head and said, "The strength of the god of war is related to war. He is the god who is in charge of war. The larger the scale and intensity of the war, the stronger he will be." And at that time his weapon was also blessed by the divine power of Zeus. "When I faced Ares, the war was almost over. Without the blessing of Zeus' divine power, he was not that strong. More importantly, I'm the weapon that was created to deal with him, and the ability that I can deal with him." This is the question that Wonder Woman took a long time to figure out. Otherwise, why can't she control the lightning now? The narration sounded, "Ares, the god of war, is the first formidable opponent of Wonder Woman. Diana, Steve, was lucky to meet Diana, and Diana was lucky to meet Steve. If Steve hadn't met, or at that time, Diana would have been persuaded by Ares, the 0.7 god of war. It was Steve who made Diana see the best of human beings, and made her choose to believe in humans. And Diana's second formidable adversary was the magical witch stone. Someone found this gem that can grant anyone's wish and made a wish to become the wish gem originally and make the world a mess. Diana beat him as well. Needless to say, she stayed in human society like this until one day she found that Luthor was investigating herself and Luthor created Doomsday. This time she came forward as well. Screen switching point. It's the Wonder Woman vs Doomsday scene again. This scene made everyone stunned. This woman is so strong. Chapter 237. Wonder Woman's raiders take the initiative to attack. Familiar images will not be repeated. In the end, when Superman and Shirao died together, the narration sounded, the first strategy of Wonder Woman is, if it is really against Doomsday, then don't make Superman stupid anyway. It's totally possible to make Superman face up to Doom the Sun. You stab him with an air stone in the end. Your cooperation at that time was very incompatible. Superman died. It was a vain death. Hearing this, Superman couldn't help touching his nose. It seems to be the case. But the future self may have lost his head at that time. Asked about Doomsday's introduction. Dr. Manhattan said, Doomsday is a magical creature, can withstand an attack, absorb the energy of the attack, and then be immune to this attack the next time. What an unimaginable creature. However, this principle can be deduced. However, is there a limit to this energy? If there is no limit to this absorption, it will be difficult for even him to understand. Everyone shook their heads. Nobody knows the answer. Seeing Misaka Makoto here is already numb. The parallel universe is really too dangerous. It is better to be safe in the Academy City. Here, I will meet 13 criminals with super ability and classmates who commit crimes at school. No such scary stuff. If these things exist in the story, it would be fine, but they actually exist in parallel universes. Just thinking about it makes my scalp tingle. If there is such a thing that can break through the parallel universe and come to your own world, how scary it would be. Godzilla hasn't made a sound for a long time. The site has a magical power that allows it to understand what's going on the video. Even if it doesn't point for the first time, it knew that these hairless bugs could be so scary. That Star-Lord, his father, is actually the earth under his feet, and his father wants to devour the stars in the sky. Could Star-Lord actually kill his father? The stone that has the power to destroy the planet. Can Star-Lord actually control it? Later, this Dr. Manhattan was even more terrifying. If he wants, he can turn himself into a pile of flesh and blood at will, or even into nothingness. This unimaginable power made it tremble, and for the first time in its life it felt fear. And then there is this Doomsday. It can absorb all the power that attacks him, and it can also become stronger because of it. And it can also be immune to such attacks. Your own breath definitely can't kill it. It's too scary. It watched Doomsday get attacked, grew bigger, and even a little envious. If only I could do that. At this time, Star-Lord had already been thrown into the cell and sat there bored watching the video. He did awakening divine power, but he hated this kind of power. It was not necessary, and he did not want to use it against the enemy. Moreover, he is here to help Sanders, Gamora, Tree Groot, and Rocket Raccoon. All of them are his own family members, and he can't really fight them. He said to the guards, "Can't you see what's in front of me? See it, the big monster that destroys the world. Soon, your world will encounter such terrifying things. Let me out and I'll help you defeat Ronan and Thanos. And that juggler, what is he doing? Why doesn't he come and get me out?" Rocket Raccoon, who was with him, and Gamora couldn't help but take a few steps back, away from him. The two exchanged glances, confirming that this is indeed a full point. At this time, Batman said, "I think this strategy is right. We must prepare a tactic when encountering an enemy in the future." Unfortunately, there is too little information about Darkseid, so even Batman has no way to set tactics now. Instead, he hoped that Steppenwolf would come to Earth first. In this case, at least information about Darkseid can be obtained from Steppenwolf. Knowing yourself and knowing your enemy can win 100 battles, but that's too dangerous. They lost the coordinates of the Earth. If there is no change in the mother box, then Steppenwolf can't find it here, and Darkseid can't find it here. Isn't it better? Screen switching. Steppenwolf, who Batman had just thought about, left the country again. There is a black stone tablet in front of the Steppenwolf in the picture. He said, "Desert, I called you raw. Then The stone tablet began to melt, and a flame ignited inside, turning into a man. Steppenwolf, have you begun to conquer this world? While Yuan Lang said, this world is falling apart. They are uncivilized species, resting on their laurels and fighting each other. It's hard to unite when a piece of sand is scattered. Their free will be taken away, just like the rest of the world. Only by having a glorious belief can they be forgiven, and that is allegiance to Darkseid. Desert said. What about the mother box? Steppenwolf said. I've got one. The one Raw called me. The other two are still asleep. Desert sneered. The mighty Steppenwolf, you were originally a servant to the monarch, but you were exiled because of your arrogance. Hearing this, Steppenwolf actually knelt in front of Desert. Desert, I kneel in front of you, and allow me to plead with him. Let me go home after I take the world. Desert said. You betrayed him, and you still owe him more than 50,000 worlds. When you pay for your sins, he will listen to your pleas. Steppenwolf stood up and said, I have realized my mistake, and I have killed all the people on his throne. I have conquered more than 830,000 worlds, and this world is coming soon. I will combine the mother box. There are no Guardians, no Green Lantern Corps, no gas stars. This world will fall like other worlds. This surprised everyone. They didn't expect Steppenwolf to ask for such a humble thing. They remembered that in the last raid, even if the Steppenwolf had its head cut off, there was no fear and no retreat. Now, in order to go home, I'm willing to kneel on the ground. But then he took a deep breath. Steppenwolf has conquered more than 830,000 worlds. God, is he that strong? How long has he lived? But Batman thought he finally mastered a weakness of Steppenwolf, or could use it. They didn't even think that Steppenwolf seemed to be really afraid of gas stars. Also, what is the Green Lantern Corps? At this time, narration 147 sounded. The Steppenwolf has conquered hundreds of thousands of planets in the universe. His only dream is that Darkseid will allow him to return to Apocalypse. The first place Steppenwolf came to Earth was Paradise Island. The mother box of Paradise Island summoned Steppenwolf and summoned him directly to Earth through the Sound Blast channel. Screen switching. This is where the mother boxes are stored on Paradise Island. The arrival of the Steppenwolf has caused heavy casualties among the warriors of the Amazons. In the end, the mother box was taken away. See that tragic scene. The crowd fell silent. Wonder Woman said, my sisters are the most fearless warriors. It is their honor to die in battle. You don't have to feel sorry for their deaths. They died to protect the world, and they died well. The Amazons are the most rigid group of women in human history. Wonder Woman continued, and this time, if Steppenwolf dared to come, it would all be different. At this time, the narration sounded again. What Steppenwolf wants is the unity of the mother box, and to lay down this world. You, Steppenwolf and Darkseid have no possibility of compromise, but now you know what they want. The second tip about Wonder Woman is that instead of being aggressive, you're better off attacking, because Superman is still alive. Mother Box is afraid to summon Steppenwolf, so why don't you try to activate the Mother Box and lure the Wastelander over, and the layout will kill him. This time the person who is prepared will be you, not him, and you can kill him at the least cost. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 238, Iron Man's Fourth Raiders. Hearing Wonder Woman's strategy, Batman couldn't help but be taken aback. Because it was like what he thought before. However, he was just looking forward to the Steppenwolf coming, not to lure the Steppenwolf to come like a raiders in the final analysis. It is the information asymmetry. He still had a glimmer of luck in his heart, hoping that Steppenwolf and Darkseid could not find Earth. The raiders are sure that they will be able to find it. If so, that strategy has execution value. Lay out in advance and use the mother box to attract Steppenwolf. Judging from the previous strategy, Darkseid does not like Steppenwolf, and even if Steppenwolf is in danger, he will not come to help urgently. Take down Steppenwolf and learn more about Darkseid, and our odds will increase. We can't always count on the Raiders for everything and expect the Raiders to tell us everything about Darkseid. The people of the Justice League are also in shock and feel that this strategy is too bold and not worth a try. At this time, Wonder Woman saw Batman's eyes and understood his thoughts. Wonder Woman shook her head and said, "No, don't even think about it. What if they are going to come to Earth anyway?" Batman said, "What if they could find Earth anyway? That would be a very good tactic. You see, people like Steppenwolf are willing to kneel down and beg to return to their Apocalypse star. He will do his best for the mother box, and he will definitely find us. Not now, but later. Now, we can still fight and be prepared. What if they find Earth in decades, hundreds of years? We definitely, only a few of us are gone. You and Superman may still be there, but can you maintain high alert for decades, hundreds of years?" This time, Wonder Woman was silent. And the audience of other universes did not interrupt. Because of this, it was a very difficult decision for the Justice League. Just when the rest of the Justice League wanted to refute Batman, the narration continued. "Diana is not a superhero of no kill. She's a true warrior. She's always done evil, and she's willing to wield a sword against evil, which is good. There is no suggestion in this regard. The last one of the strategy is on the development of your own ability. You can manipulate lightning. When you defeat Ares in Steve's resurrection, you were able to make a plane invisible. You even learned to fly, and maybe even wrap a mantra lasso around lightning, around clouds, and that's a lot of skills to develop. But when fighting, you never use it. It's just a hard bridge and a hard horse. It's unbelievable. You can definitely try to develop some new skills. In Wonder Woman's strategy, Sube can only do this." Then Sube's question pops up. Wonder Woman: Diana, at whose hands will Diana die? 1. Darkseid. 2. Batman. 3. Superman. 4. The Flash. Everyone was stunned when they saw this question. So Wonder Woman is dead, died in the battle with Darkseid. Even Wonder Woman herself has a bit of love, but she's back to her senses soon enough. She is the most powerful warrior of the Amazons, never afraid of battle or death. So she chose Darkseid directly. I should have died fighting this most powerful enemy, so there is nothing to regret. I hope we win." But the website replied, "Answer wrong. It's Superman who kills you, and the penalty for losing 500 years of life. A mere 500-year lifespan is nothing for a longevity species, but she would be killed by Superman." Which was a surprise to Wonder Woman. Because whether it is the future in the Raiders or the current future, she doesn't think Superman will kill her. Superman doesn't even want to kill a cat. Not only Superman, but everyone else feels the same way. Even Luthor shook his head and said, "Ridiculous. How could Superman kill Diana?" What was even more shocking was Superman himself, who hurriedly shook his head. "How is this possible? How could I possibly kill Diana? The website is wrong. The website must be wrong." Batman shook his head. "Under normal circumstances, you would never kill Diana. Either you lost your mind just like the time you were resurrected by the mother box in the strategy, or your mind was controlled by the enemy. No matter which one it is hard to imagine that someone can control you. Ziona, you are a professional magician. In this regard, I want to ask you for advice." Batman thinks this is a hint to himself from the site. Having this hint will allow him to do a lot of preparation. Zatanna was still invited to watch the Raiders this time. She said, "Is this an invitation?" Batman said, "Yes, I really want you to join the Justice League. We lack the magic side of people who don't understand magic. Diana is a demigod and Arthur will be the future Aquaman, but neither of them know spells. If Superman is under magical control, we need your help." Batman, really amazing. So many clues have been analyzed from this question. The reason why Sube asked this question was because he was also curious why Wonder Woman could not be seen at the end of the scumbag version of Justice League. If so, Wonder Woman is probably dead. He wanted to know how Wonder Woman ended and hoped to give her a wake-up call that could turn the future around. Just Didn't expect her to be killed by Superman. As Batman said, it is impossible for Superman to kill Wonder Woman. Then there is only one possibility. Superman is controlled by the anti-life equation and kills Wonder Woman. You can mention it in other people's strategies in the future. And the video walkthrough of Wonder Woman ends here. Originally, Dr. Manhattan's strategy needed to be played in advance, but he didn't mind paying the price. Wonder Woman's Raiders were published in the last issue and do not need to be played in advance. There is no need to pre-order now. Only Iron Man's 4th guide and Misaka Makoto's guide. Iron Man said, I have already read 3 guides. I will not read this one. You come first to get Lee's little girl, Misaka. Makoto waved her hand and said, I'm very nervous now, or else you should come first. She was also afraid to see in her own strategy, similar to the terrifying events that happened in other worlds. Iron Man said, yes. Then he clicked on his own Raiders for the 4th time, and Raiders popped up his business card without any change. Then the screen pops up. It was in an endless starry sky, and a lonely spaceship was flying in space. A wounded Iron Man is playing a card game with Nebula. The narration begins. After Thanos snapped his fingers, only Nebula and Rocket Raccoon survived in the Guardians of Galaxy. On Titan, only Nebula and Iron Man survived. They embarked on their way back to Earth, but the spacecraft was severely damaged, lost the space jump ability, and the supplies were not enough, and the speed of the spacecraft was not enough. There's nothing Iron Man can do in this situation. He's just waiting to die. Chapter 239, Suffocating Despair. The world after Thanos snapped his fingers. They don't know that the second half of Scarlet Witch's Raiders is also in that time period. In their opinion, this is the first time the site has done this time period. Wonder Woman murmured, a world where the entire universe has been wiped out with half of its life. The most tragic World War II in human history. The death toll was more than 70 million. At that time, the world's population was about 2.6 billion, and almost 1 in 40 people died because of the war. The scars that the war caused to mankind has not healed until now. And Thanos wiped out half of the life in the universe. If it is converted to the time of World War II, 1.3 billion people on Earth have been erased, and if it is changed to the present time period, 3.5 billion people on Earth have been erased. This kind of grief and despair cannot be imagined by the audience alone. The United States captain is still motivating everyone. So we must not fail. We must stop Thanos. As long as we stay together, we can do it. Everyone did not speak, and the atmosphere was dignified to the extreme. Even Dr. Manhattan felt the cold. This universe is so desperate. It's not just that half of humanity has been wiped out, it's the entire universe. How many people will die in this catastrophe? How many trillions? Dozens of trillions, or tens of trillions. No one wants to get it. The screen continues. Iron Man recorded his last words with the only surviving nanorobot helmet. Miss Potts, Pepper, if you post this video 150 times, don't post it on the internet. It will be too sad. I don't know if you can see this. I don't even know if you still. Iron Man couldn't say the word alive. He continued, hope God bless you. You are safe. Today is day 21 or 22. Compared to the vast universe, my existence is insignificant. If I don't think about it, I'm still living well today. Sister Lan helped me treat the wound, and the infection is much better. She is very nice and very capable. I think you will like her. The fuel tank burst during the battle. We thought of a way to use reverse ion charging to gain about 48 hours of flight time, but now there's nothing we can do. We are still thousands of light years away from the nearest convenience store. Oxygen can only last until tomorrow morning. That's all. I have said that this time it will be alright, and I really hope that this final mission can be done. But now you know the result. Don't be too sad. I mean, you can be sad for a couple of weeks and then go on living in sadness. I have to lie down and close my eyes and rest for a while, the same way I go to sleep every day. I'm fine. Everything is fine. I'll dream of you, and it's all about you in my dreams. In This monologue, although Iron Man tried his best to say it lightly, the audience all felt an indescribable sadness and despair. They couldn't imagine Iron Man had any life. The Guardians of Galaxy that can navigate between the stars, except for Nebula and Rocket Raccoon, have all been wiped out. Asgard has Thor, but he doesn't know Iron Man is in this situation, much less where Iron Man is, and Asgard is ruined. Bifrost is gone. Doctor Strange, the Ancient One magician, the two who could open portals at will, are also dead. No one can save him, and no one knows what he is in now. Iron Man in front of the screen smiled and said, "Don't be sad. Maybe this guide is what taught me how to survive in this situation. Maybe it will teach me some black technology. Just use a battery to travel through the void." Black Widow said worriedly. Tony, Iron Man squeezed his forehead with his thumb and forefinger and said, "Don't worry, I'm fine, really fine. This is the future. It hasn't happened yet. Besides, we can stop Thanos, right? It's not going to happen again, is it?" This is not a sign of not worrying. Anyone who sees himself dying in this way will not be worried. On the screen, Iron Man was more calm. He had closed his eyes and lay on the ground. His raw inhalation is getting weaker and weaker, as if the whole person no longer has any breath. At this time, Nebula came over, detected his raw sucking. Her face was even more ugly, and then she put Iron Man in the driver's seat. There's nothing else she can do. Iron Man lay in the driver's seat like a corpse. His face is getting darker and darker, the universe is getting darker and darker, and the boundless darkness in the universe seems to be swallowing and assimilating him. The atmosphere became more and more solemn. However, at this moment, a faint light shone on Iron Man's face. That brilliance is getting brighter and brighter, as if hope shone into the hearts of the audience. As he encountered other spaceships in the universe. On the screen, Iron Man, who was in a state of hypoxia, finally opened his eyes. His eyes were bloodshot and full of blood clots. Then he saw a man appear outside the window. A woman whose whole body glows like the sun. The audience was stunned, and Keisha asked, "Who is she? Is she from Earth?" She didn't think it would be a coincidence. The odds of being discovered by another spacecraft in the universe are equally as infinitely close to zero as being discovered by another person. This is definitely the man to rescue him. Nick Fury said. Dolly, Carol, Danforth. Captain the United States said. Carol, Captain Marvel, such a powerful foreign aid. Why use it at this time? He has already said this, so I don't want to say it. All viewers have heard Captain Marvel's name from the Raiders a few times before, but this is the first time seeing her during the fight with Thanos. The woman never showed up, and the only woman who could be contacted was Nick Fury. It was Nick Fury without Raw calling her. Still, this woman stands by. Nick Fury had a wry smile on his face. If the Earth really encountered that kind of crisis, he would definitely be called Captain Marvel by Raw. Why didn't you do that yourself? He was also puzzled. At this time, the narration sounded when the people of Thanos invaded the Earth. SHIELD was forced to disband due to the Hydra incident, and Nick Fury has not yet figured out the situation. By the time he figured it all out, it was over. Screen switching. Nick Fury is driving down the street, asking Mariah Hill, the SHIELD commander-in-chief, still can't reach Stark. Mariah Hill said, "We called all the satellites in the world and found nothing." Then the alarm goes off, and Nick Fury asks again, "What's going on?" Mariah Hill said with a look of horror, "Multiple alien warships appeared over Wakanda." How does it compare to Loki's size? It's more than 10 times bigger than last time. Nick Fury's face changed instantly. "Tell Hawkeye to meet us right away. Contact everyone who can be reached." But it was too late, and a series of car accidents started on the street. The helicopter also fell from the sky. Nick Fury went out to check the situation and said, "Raw called the rescue center." Came Mariah Hill's voice. Nick Fury turned his head and watched Mariah Hill turn to ashes in front of him. Then, seeing his countless people in front of him, he turned into flash. He immediately rushed back to his car and took out what looked like a BB machine, but he only had time to say, "Mom, fake." He turned into ashes. The BB machine fell to the ground, and it showed that the signal was being transmitted. Chapter 240 completely collapsed. Iron Man. Seeing this, everyone understands that it is not that Nick Fury is unwilling, but that he has not had time. Thanos moves too fast, and before his opponent can react, the battle is set. The captain of the United States said, "It seems that Thanos is a man who is either moving, or he will be thunderous, and he will not give people the time and opportunity to react." Everyone nodded. It was too fast, and before Nick Fury didn't understand what happened, Thanos completed his plan. Screen cut. Point. Captain Marvel held Iron Man's spaceship and fell from the night sky. She actually carried the spaceship and flew back directly. Thor's mouth widened. She actually flew back with the spaceship. Keisha moved her eyes and said, "This woman is indeed very strong." Point. Lifting the spaceship was not difficult for her using wormhole technology to invite a spaceship to travel in space. She can also do it. Point. But the strength that Captain Marvel is showing now is worthy of her attention. Point. Only from the aspect of ability, Captain Marvel is stronger than the other Avengers, and I'm afraid that only Thor can stand against her. But Thor can't fly faster than light or jump in space. Misaka Makoto's little heart trembled again. What kind of monsters are these superheroes in the parallel universe? According to the division method of Academy cities, at least it must be above the 5th level, and then add another 6, 7, 8, and 9 levels. Liu Pekiang is envious. If we had such an ability, half of the people on the earth would not have to die. Point. The Wandering Earth plan no longer needs to be implemented. Point. Luog looked at it with a wry smile. Why did they break through the space barrier and break through the speed of light so easily? Point. Why can't our universe break through the speed of light to form this desperate dark forest? The universe is so cruel. Point. He didn't know that their universe would be like this. Made by himself. Point. Originally, the universe they were in was a dimensional universe. The speed of light was close to infinity. It was super distance, and it could be transmitted from one end of the universe to the other in one Planck time. But every time the dimension is reduced, the speed of light will decrease, and it has been reduced to the present. Point. Mr. J wiped his forehead with cold sweat and said, "Fortunately, there is no such person on my earth. Otherwise, the man in black might not be able to sleep." Point. Captain Kirk said, "Don't be so nervous. You can treat her as a super battleship, won't you? The Star Alliance has so many aliens with different forms and cultures, which makes him have a lot of experience in how to get along with different aliens." He thought that the strategy on mutant was good, and now mutant is doing it, and sooner or later, it will form an organization similar to the Star Alliance with humans. The screen continues. At this time, the Iron Man in the picture was so weak that he couldn't even stand up. Point. The first thing he said when he saw the United States captain was, "I have no one to stop him." The United States captain said, "Neither did I." Iron Man's eyes became extremely sad. The child died. Everyone knew he was talking about Spider-Man. Point. Some people joked earlier that the two of them got along like two fathers and sons. From now on, it does what he misses the most and feels most guilty about his Spider-Man. Point. He was the one who brought Spider-Man to the battlefield. Rocket Raccoon walked up to Nebula, and he understood only when he saw Nebula. Guardians of Galaxy. There were only two of them. They were holding hands, unable to say a word. Point. Screen switching. Point. War Machine Road said, "It has been 23 days since Thanos left Earth." Point. Hearing this, the audience was shocked again. They had overestimated Captain Marvel's ability before, but now they know how strong she is. Holding the spaceship, it flew back to Earth in less than a day. Point. No wonder she wanders the universe so freely, only calling her when Nick Fury says the Earth is in danger. It turned out that she was really confident and could return to Earth at any time. Point. It's a pity that Thanos didn't give her this chance. Afterwards, there were many more projection screens in front of the Avengers. Nick Fury, Doctor Strange, Falcon, Spider-Man, Ant-Man, Black Panther, Scarlet Witch, Winter Soldier. The information of the victims popped up one by one. Black Widow said with a voice that could hardly be restrained, crying, "Countries have collapsed. Departments that are still in operation are doing demographic statistics. According to current statistics, Thanos did exactly as he said. He destroyed half of life on Earth, or so in the universe." Iron Man said, "Where is he? Where is he now?" Captain the United States said, "I don't know. He opened a portal and left." Then Iron Man looked at the downcast Thor and said, "What happened to him?" Rocket said, "He was angry. He felt like he had failed." That's true, but who isn't? Iron Man said to Rocket, if you didn't talk, I thought you were a stuffed toy. Point 4 flowers. Rocket Raccoon didn't care. As you wish, Captain. The United States said, we have been scanning the space satellites for the past 3 weeks and have found nothing. Tony, you played against him. Iron Man said nervously. Who told you I played against him? No, he smashed a planet in my face and the Conjurer handed over the gem. You can't fight at all. You can't fight. You know, I can't beat it at all. His state is very wrong. The United States captain asked again. Then did he leave any clues or coordinates? Iron Man laughed again, his mouth popping. I knew it years ago, but at the time I thought it was a nightmare. Everyone could see that he was on the verge of collapse now. Point 0 The United States captain said, Tony, you need to focus. Iron Man said, I needed you to, but it was too late. He stood up, unplugged the infusion tube from himself, and said, you know what I need? I need to shave now, and I remember telling you, and I told you, and those who are no longer, that we need to arm the world with battle armor, whether he violated our precious freedom or not. That's what we need, Captain. The United States said, that road won't work in the end. Ultron. Iron Man didn't seem to hear what he was saying, just angrily said to the captain of the United States, I said we would lose. You said that even if we lose, we will face it together. How is the result? We lost, but you weren't there. We only have this level. Can only always be one step behind. Can only be Avengers. Can't we be preventers? Can we? Pointing to Captain Marvel, he said, she's good. We need new power then. He looked at the captain of the United States and said, you old bastards, I have nothing to give you. No coordinates, no clues, no tactics, no plans, nothing. I don't believe you, you fraud. He got off the moon Hunkhausen no armor and gave it to the captain of the United States. Take this with you when you meet Thanos, then find a place to hide. After saying that, he fainted. The audience has already seen that Iron Man has completely collapsed at this time. Total collapse. 7 Chapter 241 Dr. Manhattan, Pharaoh and Thanos are both wrong. In front of the screen, Iron Man couldn't help but wave his hand and said, I'm sorry, I made you see the embarrassing side. Superman said, if this happened to me, I would probably break down before you. No one will laugh at Iron Man's collapse, and it's almost as good or worse when it comes to this kind of thing. Keisha didn't speak, and she wasn't the king of angels, the king of gods. From the very beginning. She didn't know how many times she collapsed when she just started to fight against the oppression of the male angel. At this time, you can only adjust by yourself. At this time, Morgana remembered her despair when she discovered the remains of the Pangu civilization, and deduced the ultimate fear from the Pangu civilization. At that time, she also collapsed, like Iron Man. But as long as you survive, it's a different life. Others don't know what to say. After all, they have never experienced such a terrible thing. Fortunately, the narration sounded. The collapsed Iron Man began to receive treatment. In the past 20 days, both mentally and physically, he has suffered a great blow, and at this moment, Nebula found where Thanos was, because Thanos once told her about his plan. One day he fulfilled his destiny and brought the universe back into balance. He will disarm and return to the fields and the mountains and forests. This narration made everyone match up. Thanos, that lunatic who killed half of the universe, actually took this ridiculous thing as his ultimate pursuit in life. Even after reaching this, he wanted nothing. Unbelievably ridiculous screen switching. On a planet with an infinitely beautiful sunset. Thanos made a scarecrow out of his armor and put it on the edge of the orchard to drive away the birds. Thanos waddles picking fruit in the orchard. Then he set up a fire and was about to cook. Suddenly a shockwave came at him and he raised the Infinity Gauntlet to block. The radiant Captain Marvel had already rushed in, grabbed his neck, and stepped on his wireless gloves, preventing him from clenching his fists on the other side. Dr. Banner, wearing anti-Hulk armor, stomped on Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet. At the same time, War Machine rushed in and hugged Thanos' other hand. Then Thor charged in severing Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet wearing hand with a single axe. The audience was stunned. It shouldn't be. Shouldn't Thanos be so weak? Rocket flips over Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet, only to find that there isn't a single wireless gem on it. The United States captain asked, "Where are the infinite gems? The balance of the universe needs to be corrected, and after that, infinite gems has nothing but seduction," Thanos said. Dr. Banner, manipulating the anti-Hulk armor, knocks Thanos to the ground. "You have killed countless people. You should be thankful for it," Thanos said. Black Widow asked again, "Where are infinite gems?" Thanos said calmly, "No more. I destroyed all infinite gems with infinite gems, and it almost killed me, but my mission accomplished. The destiny is destined to be like this. I'm the destiny." No one believed him. At this time, Nebula said, "My father can do everything, but he will never lie." Thanos laughed. "Thank you, daughter. Maybe I'm too harsh on you." Before he could finish, Thor picked up the axe in his hand and chopped off Thanos' head. He said, "This time, I cut off his head." Thor in front of the screen froze. The guide said he killed Thanos, and he always thought he killed Thanos, so I killed this Thanos. This made him angry and aggrieved. Killing such a Thanos would make him feel invincible. Black Widow said, "The Raiders are right. We really can't change Thanos' will, no matter how ridiculous his will is. Even if he died, he didn't regret it, and he's doing it all, not trying to do anything. It's just unbelievable to me." At this moment, Dr. Manhattan thought of Pharaoh. He said, "In a sense, Pharaoh and Thanos were the same kind of people. The Pharaoh thought it was worth it to wipe out millions of people on Earth in exchange for peace. Thanos thinks it's worth killing half of the universe in exchange for the balance of the universe." It was not until this time that he felt that his future self had made a big mistake. Even if Thanos is right. After half of the dead, for those who survive, there will be less pressure on resources, which seems to be a good thing. But a little bit of building a simple model. If you don't do any other too much consideration, make a calculation and know that the population will quickly increase to the previous level. Besides, Thanos was wrong. The level of development of that world is far from exhausting the resources of the entire universe. Also, it hasn't taken into account what Harley said about the distribution problem, and what others have said about the self-regulation of the civilized world mentioned in a guide. Humans are not a bunch of numbers. They will not proliferate wildly, and they will be restricted by resources. It was only after the modern society and the development of productive forces that the population began to grow like this. Productivity will restrict the development of the population. Why didn't I consider such a simple truth before? So Thanos is definitely wrong. If Thanos is wrong, then Pharaoh is definitely wrong too. The strategy is right. The Pharaoh just forcibly glued the two superpowers together, but the problem has not been solved, and it will still erupt again. Just like Thanos, he did not take into account the growth rate of the other half of the population with sufficient resources. After eliminating half of the population. If the resources of the universe are really depleted, it's not because of population growth. Like Pharaoh, Thanos has not found the root cause. Why was he persuaded at the time? Sure enough, Pharaoh is the smartest person in the world, and I was fooled by him. I'm just a stupid mortal who mistook myself for a god. Morgana said, "In a sense he can be considered great." Iron Man was furious. "You say 0.7 is great," Morgana said indifferently. "Persevere in your philosophy to the end. Even if life and death disappear, you will not be afraid or back down. It's definitely great," Keisha said disdainfully. "This is what the devil has always done. They will find one or two small advantages in demons and magnify them infinitely, as if they can cover up the evil things they have done." The two sisters were about to quarrel again. The narration sounded again. Thanos is dead. Infinite gems is ruined. After recovering, Iron Man married Miss Potts and had a daughter. Life was very ordinary, but also very happy. Without the alien invasion and the need to fight criminals, the family lives happily until one day, someone came to him. Chapter 242. Possibility of time travel. Iron Man lived in a lakeside cabin. Said, "Moj Stark, you want to eat lunch?" A little girl is wearing Iron Man mask. Next to the HUD he drilled out. Iron Man to take down the little girl's mask. Everyone is looking yui. Before Ant-Man daughter is cute enough, but Iron Man's daughter do not even lose her number. Human pups. So cute. Iron Man a few funny daughter. Her daughter called to dinner when he saw the United States Captain, Black Widow as well as Ant-Man. Iron Man came, they drove. See here. Ant-Man himself spent. I went to the quantum field. Doctor primed them out of the dead. How do I come out? The screen switches again. Ant-Man of Iron Man said, when Thanos event, in the quantum field, which to enter, you need to shrink to a very small, the most important is outside over 5 years, but in which I did not stay long, 5 hours bail. I do not speak clearly. After all, I'm not a scientist, I just master of electrical engineering anyway. My feeling is that the mechanism of quantum field time is different and very confusing, but I was 13. We cannot control. If we can control, we can go back and find the infinite gems. Iron Man, listening to a description of Ant-Man, said, you mean break the Planck scale quantum fluctuations, then trigger Deshi effect? Mean it is in front of the screen. Hearing this, Iron Man frowned. He remembered the Raiders said Ant-Man is the key to the defeat. Thanos is Ant-Man. This argument is correct, but if what he says is correct, then we can travel through time. He instinctively think it's impossible. However, he suddenly thought of the time Loki said the authority. The authority, if there is time, it means the time can be controlled. It is possible to travel through time. Ant-Man said is right. We really can manipulate time. The other chiefs are several scientific side shines. Keisha said, your world may be some nouns, and not like us. Can you explain a little? Iron Man said, I think it would have been either impossible, but from now on, this is only possible. There is time to overcome the authority. Thanos also proved it's the ability. Then he began to explain. Even the various parallel universe be biased, but technology heavyweights side are able to understand. After listening to Dr. Manhattan, like a splash of cold water, he said, Tony Stark, you are the real genius. I really just an ordinary person. Fills after he finished. Everyone was surprised to find in the world where he changed, he no longer above Mars. He appeared on a battlefield. It is the battlefield. The moment everyone stared, he did it. Just listen to Iron Man said it once. He actually did it. His back through time to participate in a war of their own, and only war. This is what a mighty force. You called ordinary people drive. Manhattan remains, said, these super genius with you than up. I really ordinary people. I just accidentally beam nothing more powerful force. Ancient. One magician said, what do you want to interfere in the past? You do so. Ancient. One magician a talk. All the talent to think of it. Sorcerer supreme control of time gem. Their time has long magic can manipulate time. Far in these. Ant-Man said, before it could even long before the time the authority has not been established. They used magic did this miracle thing. Drive. Manhattan said, I understand what you mean, magician, but I'm with you physically a little different. I can interfere with my past, but will not disrupt the timeline. This is what most of the audience feel. Brain gen began to hurt. Dr. Manhattan and then in previous battlefield disappeared. He removed the timeline. They participate in the war. People are still aware of the existence of Dr. Manhattan, but Dr. Manhattan, and not too much outside interference. Then everything changed, the overall trend of the world, and has been Marvel Universe, DC Universe almost, drive. Manhattan laughed, the first time he smiled. I saw the future, really. If I did not exist, my intervention, this will not develop into a world that way. Still, a little bit of human reason. A public audience looks silly. Misaka Makoto staggering said, you can control this timeline. The whole world will be playing in the applause. You still ordinary people do. Drive. Manhattan nodded. Yes, I'm just an ordinary person has great power. Having such a powerful person is a real god. Then he appeared on Mars, but there is another Dr. Manhattan on Mars. Drive. Manhattan just that affected Sube mental disorder, is casually a statue. Drive. Manhattan observation think this way, in the end is what forces affect their own. But he failed. Even if he is now an independent outside line time, he was still confused. Mind affected. Dr. Manhattan had just crossed the timeline under the influence of mental disorder. but also create a strange statue point. That statue is like a human form. There is a 4 hands. His head was just a tentacle, who long number of tentacles, and image is not fixed. The rapid change, the Route 150 generally like chaos. The audience just felt my mind to be blown up. Point this in the end. What is this stuff? Drive. Manhattan in the end. What has been done? Did not understand. Do not want to. He restored the sober Dr. Manhattan, watching the 2 statues, exclaimed, "This is the real miracle." I still cannot understand the kind of confusion to what come from universe, then higher dimensional place, only this possible, so I will not observed, this power is a real god, Rue. Listen, hide, no, the audience did not think about the state of Dr. Manhattan, and just think about it, your head began to hurt. Keisha exclaimed, what a presence of drive, unimaginable people, time travel, I take some time to resolve, but time is a theoretical model. Stark is right. Point so, it is the Iron Man rocks. The screen continues. Iron Man Ant-Man believed in nonsense, but after they left the United States Captain, he began to do his own research point, and he built the first model of success Iron Man in front of the same screen, built as a model. With this model, time travel possible. Point regain infinite gems, save half of the universe of human life. It seems to have become a possibility. Chapter 243 Thor, this fat man can't be me. Hearing time travel, Ancient One magician wanted to say something else, but seeing everyone was so happy, and the website was amazing, its strategy might be able to solve these problems, so she didn't say much. The narration sounded, Iron Man solved the theoretical problem of time travel, found the team of Captain Lego, and together with Dr. Banner, finally perfected the theory, so they started recalling the Avengers and Guardians of Galaxy. At the moment, Hawkeye turned into a Ronin for the death of his wife and daughter, hunting criminals, gangsters and terrorists everywhere. Nebula and Rocket Raccoon search the universe for possible miracles. Thor took the remnants of the Asgard and lived in Northern Europe, the place where the Aces lived in ancient times. Screen switching. Point the Hulk is sitting on a small pickup, but this Hulk is dressed in clothes and has a friendly face, completely unlike the previous mob. Thor in front of the screen rejoiced. The guide said, you did it in the future. You can really live in peace with Hulk. Loki said disdainfully, the Hulk's power comes from anger. What kind of power do you have when you become like this? I'm afraid I won't be beaten to death by a punch when I meet Thanos. Drive. Banner was also in shock. Hearing this, he turned his head to look at Loki, and Loki couldn't help but linger, unable to utter a word. The Hulk is simply his nemesis. This scene made everyone laugh out loud, but only the heretic god lost face. However, when everyone saw Thor, they immediately fell silent. Is this Thor? How is this possible? What about your lunar muscles? What about your abs? Why only see a round fat belly? Moreover, when he was full of alcohol, when he was not sober at all, he completely turned into a drunkard. When everyone saw him facing the characters in the game, they cursed, Rookie Supreme, it's still me, Thor. If you don't get a line immediately, I will fly to your house, tear your arm off, and stuff it into you in the asterisk. Go and cry with your dad, coward. Seeing Thor like this makes everyone stupid. Thor, this is a complete waste, Black Widow said with great disappointment. Do men become like this when they are middle-aged? Male gods are no exception. Once Thor, which woman with his figure is not stupid, and now, this is it. Scarlet Witch shook his head and said, I really can't imagine that Thor would become like this. Thor himself shook his head in disbelief. This is not me. This is definitely not me. This cannot be me. How can this website be so humiliating out of thin air? It is absolutely impossible for me to become like this. I'm the mighty Thor. Angel Yan also had fun. She is an old hooligan, an old driver, she said. In the past, your figure could scare your enemies to death, but now, you can laugh at them to death. Thor shook his head vigorously, absolutely disbelieving this to be true. On the screen. The Hulk said to Thor, brother, what's the matter with you? Thor gulps down his drink. Me? What can I'm fine. Rocket Raccoon said, you look like melted ice cream. Thor burps, what are you guys doing with me? The Hulk said, "We came to you because we found an opportunity to fix this." About Thanos hearing these two, Thor went crazy in an instant. He said, "You are not allowed to mention this name again." The laughter stopped, and everyone knew why Thor was like this. At this time, the narration sounded again. Thor returned to the Avengers, and then their time travel experiment was successful. They made a plan to go back in time and bring the infinite gems of the past to the present. Then, build your own Infinity Gauntlet and use the Infinity Gauntlet to bring back those who were killed. Then, return the gems from the past so that nothing will be affected and a new timeline will not be created. It's just that Dr. Pyme is dead, and now the Pyme particle can only make them go back and forth once, and they must not make any mistakes. But time is a very magical thing, and it can be said that everything related to the quantum field is very magical. It seems that there is a special entanglement phenomenon. If you play with time, time will play with you, or you can also call it fate. Something will happen. Screen. Switching point Nebula and War Machine roads appear on the planet where the Power Stone is located. Then everyone saw the Zinju dance again. Star-Lord in front of the screen couldn't help covering his face, feeling that he had been publicly executed again. Not right. Obviously, I feel that when I sing, I'm so awesome, and the dance steps are also extremely gorgeous. Why does the effect appear like this? This site must be targeting itself. The audience was once again amused, and the Milky Way crosstalk really lived up to its reputation. On the screen. The War Machine, who was lurking aside, said to Nebula, "So he's a fool." Nebula wanted to defend herself, but she didn't know how to defend herself, and finally she nodded and said, "Yes." Then War Machine knocked Star-Lord down with a punch. And Nebula got Star-Lord's lock-picking tool and entered the temple. Rhodes still wondered if there would be any traps in the temple, but Nebula directly stretched out his hand and took out the cosmic spirit ball. As a result, her robotic arm nearly burned. Looking at Rhodes' expression, Nebula said embarrassedly, "I wasn't like this before. I used to be too, but we had no choice." Rhodes said. He was referring to the fact that he was paralyzed and walked with the help of a machine. The narration sounded again. The training of the sisters Gamora and Nebula by Thanos can be described as inhumane. He would train the two of them in the cruelest way, and then periodically let them duel, and if whoever lost, he would take the loser's Lee's limbs and replace her with a mechanical prosthesis. Hearing this, Iron Man in front of the screen hung his face. "Got this lunatic. He also loves Gamora as his own daughter. Is that also called love?" Iron Man would never allow anyone to hurt his daughter, not a single hair, and Thanos clearly loves these two daughters. Soul Gem can testify, but he did such inhumane things to Nebula and Gamora. Sure enough, he is a lunatic. Hook. The narration continued. It is also because of this that the Nebula from the future came to this time. The memory shared with the Nebula now. Thanos saw the memory of the future Nebula, and knowing everything, he decided to go to Earth to fight the Avengers. So he took the Nebula, the Pyme particle, and copied it successfully, and it also cracked the mystery of time travel. Hearing this, everyone exploded again. Chapter 244 Soul Gem, The Death of Black Widow. The Pyme particle is the greatest invention of the Marvel movie universe. Two super geniuses, Iron Man and his father, have been researching for so long. They can't be replicated, and they can't even understand how it works. But can Thanos replicate it successfully? What kind of talent is this? After Dr. Manhattan asked about the properties of the Pyme particle, the whole person was also stunned. When you shrink an object, the mass becomes lighter, but the force remains the same. And after the shape is back, the quality is back. It's impossible. Where did that quality go? Even if he has the ability like a god now, he can't figure out what the Pyme particle is, meaning successfully copied this thing. It really is an extraordinary genius. Although the attack rate has introduced that Thanos is actually a genius scientist, his behavior and his appearance are not like a scientist in any way. But now the audience has a real sense. The strength of Thanos and the power in his hands are scary enough. He is still such a scary scientist. He has almost no shortcomings, and the pressure on everyone is even greater. Star-Lord was anxious. Nebula fell into Thanos' hands. Will Thanos kill her? No one can answer this question. Then it sounded again. Among several teams, Hawkeye 150 and the Black Widow team also encountered difficulties because what they're both looking for is a soul gem. Hearing this, everyone's heart was Gordon's heart. Soul gem is to be exchanged for the life of the beloved. What should they do? Screen switching point. Red Skull took Hawkeye and Black Widow to the edge of the altar and said, what you are looking for is close at hand. But if you want to get the soul gem, you must lose your loved ones and exchange souls for souls. It's an eternal theorem. Point. Black Widow and Hawkeye both froze. Point. They sat down and started talking about it. Hawkeye said anxiously, maybe it's all his bullshit. Point. Black Widow resting his chin on his hands, I don't think so. Thanos took the soul gem from here, but his daughter disappeared. I don't think it's a coincidence. Point. At this time, she seems to have made a decision. Then Black Widow raised his head and said, remember what we said? This time, at all costs. Hawkeye also said, whatever it takes. I think we all know who should go. Point. Black Widow nodded. Indeed, we all know. Damn. Hawkeye smiled. But I think we may have chosen different people. Black Widow said, I've only had one goal for 5 years, and I'm here to bring everyone back, so I won't let anything happen to you. The way she talks is so beautiful. The Magic Eye smiled and said, stop saying pretty words. Black Widow said, idiot. Whose life do you think I'm saving? With tears in his eyes, Hawkeye said, I really can't help you. After saying that, their foreheads touched. Point. Hawkeye said, you win. Then he fell over his shoulder, threw Black Widow to the ground and said, tell my family I love them. Black Widow said, tell them yourself. After speaking, an electric light hit Hawkeye, causing him to fall to the ground. Point. Then Black Widow ran towards the cliff. Point. Hawkeye climbed up and exploded the ground with one arrow, blowing the Black Widow away, and jumped off the cliff himself. Point. When someone else encounters this kind of thing, they want others to die. Point. And the two of them fought desperately, but they both wanted to die by themselves. This picture makes a lot of people's eyes get wet, seeing that Hawkeye was about to fall. Black Widow also jumped down. She hugged Hawkeye in midair, and a hook hooked Hawkeye. Point. Drop yourself down. The Magic Eye held Black Widow's hand tightly, and the grief in his heart was unstoppable. Black Widow smiled. Let me go. Hawkeye burst into tears. No. Point. Black Widow comforted like a sister. It's okay. Don't cry. After speaking, he broke away Hawkeye's hand and fell onto the altar. Soul gem needs to sacrifice your beloved. Point. This love can be your children, your lover, your relatives, your best friend. For Hawkeye, Black Widow is the most important friend in the most important family. Her death paid for the soul gem. Point. At this moment, Scarlet Witch and Misaka Makoto, two emotionally fragile little girls, burst into tears. Nick Fury watched this scene in disbelief. Once he thought he knew Black Widow better than anyone, but the previous Black Widow is 100% would not do such a thing. The attack is right. After joining the Avengers, Black Widow really found a home and made the Avengers a home. This woman, this choice, is admirable. Queen Keisha said in awe, I've been through countless battles in my life, seeing that countless people are full of ugliness in the face of life and death, but I rarely see such a battle just now. Two people die for themselves and try their best to stop each other. Your soul is high definition, and you have my respect. Point. Morgana was not to be outdone. I love my comrades so much, and I see death so much. If I can come to this world, I welcome you to join the fallen angel team. I will give you great strength, infinite life. Constantine just shook his head. If it were him, he would figure out a way to get the soul gem, and he would never let his beloved die tragically. They are so stupid. But these two, they deserve admiration. Batman sighed. Would he have any comrades who are willing to fight with him to die? He has been fighting so alone, with only Afu by his side. At this time, he has only a few comrades in arms, but it has not reached the level of Black Widow and Hawkeye. So envious. The United States captain also had a sour nose. I remember there was a Raiders question before. How did Natasha Romanoff die? Saying she committed suicide. I didn't believe it at the time. I thought, how could someone as strong as her commit suicide? Did not expect. He couldn't help wiping the corner of his eyes, but he didn't speak. Point. Remember that Black Widow is the eldest daughter of Avengers, and she loves everyone like her own younger siblings. Now it seems that she loves them more than her own life. Iron Man also stared blankly at Black Widow. Point. In the beginning, He actually didn't like this beautiful spy point, because in her strategy video, she came to deceive herself. Point and the existence of spies is indeed difficult to gain the goodwill of others, but now he knew he was wrong. Point Black Widow deserves their love more than anyone. Point at this time Black Widow laughed. What are you doing like this? Am I not dead yet? It's something that will happen in the future, but this time, we are not going to let Thanos snap his fingers. This time we'll stop him. He won't make it. No. One will die, I'm sure. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 245 Time Administration makes its first appearance. At this time, the narration sounded again. In addition to these two teams, other teams also encountered unimaginable difficulties and troubles. Iron Man, Captain of the United States, Ant-Man and the Hulk, they're back when Loki invaded New York, because at that time they could get time gems, space and gems at the same time. The Hulk met the Ancient One Magician. When communicating with the Ancient One Magician confirmed that Doctor Strange gave the time gem to Thanos and was finally willing to lend the time gem. When Iron Man and Ant-Man and the Captain of the United States went to capture the space gem, there was an accident. Loki got the space gem and escaped, but he ran into the Time Authority. Screen switching. Point Loki was caught by the Avengers, but Iron Man got the space gem and was knocked away by the Hulk, who went downstairs and the space gem in his hand rolled in front of Loki. Point Loki grabs the space gem and teleports away. Point then he went to a large desert. Point looking at the group of herdsmen in the desert, he climbed a stone and delivered his speech proudly. Point, but before he could shudder for 2 seconds, the man in black helmet and black armor got out from a strange door, knocks down Loki easily. Point they just slowed down Loki's time by an unknown number of times. The Time Administration is finally here. Point seeing this, Loki's face became more and more difficult to look. Why? How can the strengths and weaknesses of this group of Time Administration defeat themselves? He himself could use illusions to play the people of the Time Administration with applause. If it wasn't for Thanos' accidental discovery, maybe the Time Administration would have his surname now. That future self is too bad. He doesn't deserve to be called Loki. Loki hates to think about it, and seeing this, the audience breathed a sigh of relief. Before, everyone thought that time management was invincible. Point after all, being able to cut the timeline, shuttle time, and control time, it seems, is simply an inexplicable ability. Point, but after Iron Man explained the nature of time travel for everyone, it was not enough to surprise them so much. If I saw this before I understood how time works, it would scare me, Dr. Manhattan said. Point that is to say, it seems to be sparse now. Point LUOG said, now, it still frightens me. If you can control time technology, then there is no need for swordsmen on Earth. Point, when the three-body man comes, they can be directly hung and beaten. Point, no matter how strong the water droplet is, if it slows down his time 1000 times, it is not a dish. Point, I just don't know how big the gap between our world and their world is in terms of rule. Fortunately, although he didn't understand the words just now, he wrote it down, and maybe he could let people in their world study it. Point for the research on time, it does not belong to the technological aspects of the Trisolaran blockade. Point what the Trisolaran is blocking is the human research on fundamental particles, and in this seemingly quantum realm, in LUOG's world, people on Earth also have deep attainments in this area. At least they have developed a way to turn people into a quantum state, controlling time. Professor X muttered. Point in the future, he used to reverse the future to modify the timeline once. Point, but still a little too hard. Point Iron Man's theory is too advanced. I can't understand it very much, but most of Beast can understand it. Point hope he can develop equipment in this regard, then mutant will be greatly enhanced. Point also, Shadowcat can transmit human consciousness to the past, so is there any mutant that can directly control time and modify the timeline? If there is, the kingdom of mutant can really stand firm in this world. Keisha is also very interesting to see, modifying the timeline of the past. She can't do it for a while point, but for a short time of manipulation, you can use the void engine. To do it point after understanding the principle of time, you can use the void engine to redefine time in a short time point, interfere with the flow of time on the opponent, like the one from the time authority point, the treasure. House of Sacred Knowledge, a great knowledge has been added, time. But something more mysterious than space, the narrator continued. The Time Administration edited the timeline of Loki's escape, and brought Loki back to the Time Administration. From now on, his story has nothing to do with Thanos, and losing the space gem left Iron Man and Captain America almost desperate, because now they don't have enough time particles for them to cross again. But at this moment, Iron Man suddenly thought, the Pime particle and the Tesseract space gem used to be in the same place, and if they went there, they would not only get the Pime particle for the return trip, but also the space gem. That's the SHIELD that just started. Ask for Flowers Zero Drive. Pime was still in SHIELD at the time, and the space gem was there, and there the two met. The two most important people. Point screen switching point. Captain, the United States enters the initial base of SHIELD. He hides in an office, but accidentally sees a picture of himself. Point then he saw his girlfriend Peggy Castle. Point he remembered the card that died of old age on the hospital bed, and also the dance that he still owed the card. If time could stop, it would be great if I could accompany Cavu at this moment. Point it's a pity that he has to go back to the future world, and that world is still waiting for him to save. Point the screen switches again. Iron Man met his father. While stealing the space gem. Point he looked at the flowers in his father's hand and asked, a suit, tie, flowers have an appointment tonight. His father Howard said, my wife is pregnant, and she can't even stand the sound of me eating now. Point Iron Man didn't know how to face the news that he was about to be born, and he said, congratulations. Then he couldn't help saying to his father, I have a daughter. How much he thought that his father was still alive. He said this sentence in front of his father. Howard said, my daughter is good. The chance of my daughter becoming like me is very low. Iron Man, do you have any questions? Howard's voice was a little low. I always put my personal interests on the collective interests, and I don't pay enough attention to my family. This time, if I have a boy, my wife wants to call him a Monzo. You don't have to decide in a hurry. Just think about it. You nervous when your baby is born? I'm super nervous. So, are you ready? Do you know how to cope? I always think back to how my father did it. For my father, there is nothing that can't be solved with a leather whip. My father is also very strict with me, but when I think about it now, I only think that my father's words are in every word. For example, an ounce of money can't buy an inch of time. Iron Man said. Point Howard said, although the child has not yet been born, I'm willing to do anything for him. This is their last conversation in this world. Point this is what Iron Man has wanted more than anything in his life. 7th chapter 246. Thanos, the biggest maniac ever. The narration sounded, going back in time, Black Widow lost everything, but the United States captain met the love of his life. Iron Man was able to say goodbye to his father, and he finally understood why his father was so busy, and why he didn't care about it. He also knew how much his father loved him. In the end, the Avengers brought back the Infinite Gems. Rocket, Raccoon, Iron Man and Dr. Banner designed their Infinity Gauntlet together. Screen switching point. Inside a chest is an Iron Man style Infinity Gauntlet. Rocket took the gloves and said, the gloves are ready. The question is who's going to hit that deadly box. At this time, Thor, who was sitting in a drunken hall, came over and said, I'm coming. Everyone hurriedly discouraged. Thor said, it's useless to discuss all the time. Are we just sitting here staring? It can't save people. I am the strongest Avenger, so this responsibility must fall on me. 153. Everyone desperately held him back. Point they were afraid that after Thor snapped his fingers, there would be an entire planet of beer and cheese. Thor's voice was already crying. Let me come. Let me do something good. Do something right. Point sure enough, the guilt he brought to Thanos for not killing him was the reason for his complete collapse. Point Iron Man had a headache and said, that's not the problem. This glove gathers earth shattering energy, and I tell you, you're not in a good state at all. Thor said. I can't. What do you think I have in my blood? War Machine says. Cheese sauce. The previous sadness was diluted a bit, and the audience in front of the screen finally laughed. Thor looked at the crowd and said with some guilt, is it lightning? Is it lightning? At this time, the Hulk came over, patted his shoulder and said, brother, lightning can't help you. Let me come. You saw what happened to Thanos, and you couldn't bear it. Iron Man said. Then why do you think you can handle it? What? The Hulk said. I don't know, but these stones emit mostly gamma rays. The Hulk became the Hulk because he was irradiated by gamma rays, and most of the energy fluctuations of infinite gems were gamma rays. He felt that this was destined by God, and he had to snap his fingers. Then the Hulk brought up the Infinity Gauntlet point, but before he started snapping his fingers, the energy gathered on his body, causing his skin to tear open. With his physical fitness, he couldn't stand it either. Seeing this, Loki didn't jeer. He said, how strong is Thanos' body? It was only then that he intuitively realized the power of Thanos. He already has a deep understanding of how strong the Hulk is, but the Hulk, who is already strong like a monster, can't bear it. Once using the Infinity Gauntlet, and when Thanos snapped his fingers for the first time, there was no response at all. The second time was to destroy infinite gems, and the backlash made him unbearable. There are so many differences between the two. Iron Man's face is also extremely ugly. If even the Hulk can't hold it, who can snap his fingers? Thor or Captain Marvel? On the screen, the Hulk let out bursts of wailing, but he endured the pain and roared, and finally snapped his fingers. Then he fell to the ground, the Infinity Gauntlet slipping from his hands. He was badly wounded, but he was knocked down. At this time, Hawkeye's cell phone rang, and it was his wife who called him. His wife is alive. The people in front of the screen were overjoyed. Dr. Banner exclaimed, success, we succeeded. The Avengers cheered raw, slapping each other on the shoulders and backs of their companions to show their excitement. Although that happened in the future, it also proved that even if Thanos snapped his fingers and destroyed half of the life in the universe, they still have a chance to come back. At this time, the narration sounded again. Although they succeeded, the Nebula of the past disguised as the Nebula of the future and mixed into the Avengers. She positioned this timeline for Thanos. Thanos rushed out of the quantum tunnel with his army. Screen switching. A battleship rushed out of the quantum realm and quickly grew larger. Countless blasts of energy then blasted towards Avengers headquarters in the earth-shattering loud noise. Countless mushroom clouds rose, and countless dust flew into the sky, shrouding everything in a haze. That picture is more terrifying than the black explosion. Thanos was teleported to the edge of the ruins, and Nebula walked towards him. This is the future? Well done, Thanos said. Nebula said, thank you, father. They have no doubts. Thanos stuck his weapon on the ground, hung up his helmet, and said, because of their self-righteousness, I have to do it again. Bring me the Infinity Gauntlet. Nebula once again walked into the ruins, and then Iron Man and Captain the United States emerged from the rubble. They saw Thor standing at the exit of the ruins, with Thanos sitting opposite. The United States captain asked, what did he do? Thor said, he didn't do anything. He then said to Iron Man, you know it's a trap, don't you? Iron Man nodded. I don't care. Thor said, yeah, don't care, as long as we work together. While speaking, endless lightning fell on him, and his storm hammer flew into his hands from a distance. The clothes on his body were also replaced by his old battle armor, and even the beard became the beard of a Viking warrior. The Mjolnir he brought from the past also fell into his hands. This time, let's finish him off. Thanos watched the three of them walk towards him, and said disdainfully, you refuse to accept failure. What happened? Are you still going to face me? I can prosper by destroying half of my life, but you have proved to me that it is impossible. As long as someone misses the past, it will never be possible to accept the future, and they will definitely resist. Iron Man said, we are just so stubborn. Thanos nodded. Thank you for letting me understand this. So this time I will turn the universe into atomic dust. Create a new universe with the infinite gems you helped me find. There is life there. There is no anger at the loss of life, only gratitude for the life I have given. It's a grateful universe, and When I heard this, the audience exploded again. X he shook his head and said, I have seen many crazy people in my life, but he is the most completely crazy one. Usually, a normal person encounters such a big failure, he will start to consider whether his methods and goals are on point, but Thanos will not. He will only think that he is not strong enough, and then increase his strength. Even contrary to his original intention. Originally, he only wanted the balance of the universe to reach the balance of 0.7 he imagined, but now he wants to destroy the universe and recreate the universe. Dr. Manhattan said, didn't he think that, even if he created a new universe, he would have the same problems he thought he would have? Keisha said lightly, definitely not, because in the universe he created, he is the god of creation. He can, at any time according to his will, erase the life he considers redundant in the universe to maintain his so-called balance, and the human beings in the new universe will not think that Thanos is destroying them, but will only think that this is definitely a natural law. Hearing this, everyone was instantly horrified, and cold sweat broke out. This is really too scary future. In any case, Thanos must die. Readers, the comments are delayed now, so I can't immediately respond to everyone's questions about the plot, so I saw it, and my response will be in the work related. I love to communicate with readers. Chapter 247 Thanos who crushes everything. But no matter how much people want Thanos to die, Thanos will not die by himself. Just as the weapon of criticism cannot replace the criticism of weapons, only war and killing can fight against killing, and war. Everyone watched calmly, knowing that the next battle would determine the fate of mankind in the future. I think this should be our best chance in the future, Thor said. Thanos is very strong, but he is not invulnerable without the Infinity Gauntlet. Now, the three of us can work together to defeat him. The United States captain's eyes were firm. Yes, Captain. The United States is the Avengers, one of the most amazing beings in all of superhero. He is just a super soldier injected with super serum, has superhuman strength and resilience, is a master tactician, has a powerful intelligence reading and analysis ability, but that's it. He didn't have much advantage when fighting villains with super ability. However, he has a magical shield. This shield can absorb any form of energy, and it is this shield that allows him to fight against any powerful enemy. According to the tactics envisaged by the Captain of the United States, this battle should be his body shield to resist Thanos' attack and contain Thanos. Thor and Iron Man unleash their powerful attacks, but in the offense, the future when they fight is not like this at all. Thor roared and rushed towards Thanos. The thundering Stormbreaker and Thor's hammer both smashed at Thanos, but were knocked flying. Iron Man flew in the air and used long-range attacks to release Thanos' wind, etc. But it didn't work at all. Thanos' swordsmanship is so powerful that the odd-shaped long sword in his hand is very difficult to use at first glance. But it is unimaginable in his hands. It can be used as a knife, an axe, and a shield, easily blocking Iron Man's attacks. The Captain of the United States rushed up and was also slashed with a knife. You must know that his vibranium shield can absorb even kinetic energy. In theory, he is holding this shield and should not move when he receives Thanos' attack. This has already explained the strength of Thanos. His power is beyond the absorption limit of the vibranium shield. Then Iron Man made a mistake and was picked up by Thanos. If Thor hadn't rescued him in time, he would have been torn in half by Thanos. Facing Thor's attack, Thanos threw Iron Man out, knocking him unconscious. The kinetic energy absorbing device in the nano armor is completely useless. Thor rushed up to fight Thanos in close quarters, but in a few moves his Stormbreaker was knocked flying, and like a child being held down by an adult, he was pinned to the ground by Thanos. Unable to fight back. It's too strong. Even without the Infinity Gauntlet, Thanos completely beat the three of them. Thor in front of the screen gritted his teeth and clenched his fists tightly. He couldn't believe that in such a head-on fight, he still lost. Seeing this, Wonder Woman remembered what Raiders said to her and developed more applications of her own ability. She now feels that she can give it a try. Otherwise she will meet an opponent like Thanos or Superman, and she really has no means if she can't face it. At this moment, the Captain of the United States, who was sent flying, actually picked up Thor's Mjolnir and rescued Thor, but Thor was also kicked out by Thanos. The Captain of the United States with Mjolnir in his hand Took a few extra moves against Thanos. Dang dang dang. Thanos slashed a few times, causing the Captain of the United States to retreat again and again, and even the Sirius shield, which claimed to be able to absorb any energy, was slashed to pieces for a time. A sense of despair filled the hearts of all the audience. Thanos is too strong. Zabing thought of the battle she saw Mark against the Calyx Beast in her strategy. Although Mark was at an absolute disadvantage against Calyx Beast, he could still hurt Calyx Beast in the end. But Thanos is different. They fought for so long. Thanos didn't even bleed a drop of blood, didn't catch his breath. The outrageous physical strength of Thanos surprised Keisha once again. Because of Thor's body, it can resist neutron star pulses. In terms of strength, it is unknown whether it is stronger than his own sacred body, but it was easily beaten by Thanos like this. How strong does Thanos have to be? Is this all tech at full strength? Keisha said. Thanos should have modified his body to have this incredible strength. If you can crack his genetic code or find a way to break his physical body. Iron Man smiled dryly. Not to mention that our genetic technology is far from yours. But to say that, after fighting with Thanos a few times, he only scratched his skin and knew it was unrealistic. Can't get a genetic sample. On the screen. Thanos knocked the United States captain flying. The United States captain fell to the ground, and he couldn't stand up for a while. Thanos seems to have lost interest in fighting, saying, I have conquered countless worlds over the years. The mob, the cruelty, the slaughter, but 153 was never mixed with personal emotion. But now I'm telling you, I'm going to have a lot of fun when I destroy your stubborn weary planet. Thanos doesn't seem to want to kill the United States captain. He seems to want to come and see how the Earth is destroyed. Then countless teleportation beams were cast behind him. The elite troops that Thanos brought from the past were teleported from the spaceship to the Earth at full speed. Behind Thanos are Ebony Maw, Corvus Glaive, Black Dwarf, Proxima Midnight, these elite warriors under Thanos who were originally dead. But now, they have come from the past. Behind them were densely packed ground troops, with infantry armed with weapons and heavily armored units similar to tank troops. There are even more mythical behemoths that only seem to exist in mythology. The sky is filled with fighter jets of various forms, densely packed and overwhelming. Even the familiar Chitauri mermaid-shaped air carrier was once again seen. On the opposite side, the others are in the rubble, not knowing whether they are alive or dead. Iron Man and Thor have been stunned by Thanos. There was only one solitary captain of the United States. Thanos alone is so desperate, and now he is still carrying such an army. Earth is doomed. Chapter 248 Avengers Assembly. On the screen, Captain the United States stood up and looked at the endless enemy on the opposite side. No one knows how he is feeling. He gritted his teeth and fastened the broken shield on his hand. He can fight to the death. But is it useful? At this moment, a voice suddenly came from the headphones of the Captain of the United States. Captain, can you hear my voice? See? This changed. The audience was stunned for a moment, then excited. Batman said, everyone seems to have forgotten that Dr. Banner snapped his fingers and saved those killed by Thanos. Humans have reinforcement. The audience immediately became excited. Yes, everyone has survived. Isn't there reinforcement? Loki habitually jumped out and poured cold water and said, they have reinforcement, but are they in time? Doctor Strange has magic skills and can open portals, but how many people can he teleport over? Before he finished speaking, he was directly slapped in the face. I saw that behind the Captain of the United States. A portal opened. Black Panther walked out of the portal with his general and his sister Shuri. Suran's scientific achievements and wisdom even surpassed Dr. Banner, and behind them is the same dense army of Wakanda. No less than the troops that Thanos brought. In front of the screen. Iron Man cheered. That's T'Challa, Prince of Wakanda, the one that can compete with Thanos' army, and the strategy is Wakanda's army. Damn it, I should have confirmed it again last time. In many people's raids, they saw this human army, and Iron Man suspected that it was Wakanda at that time. But Wakanda's camouflage skills are so outrageous that even Iron Man has been fooled. What's more, this is really a blind spot for Iron Man, because Wakanda is only a third world country in his mind. It can produce up to a special product like vibranium, Who would have thought that technology could develop like this? Watching the portal open wider and wider, all of Wakanda's army came out of it. They have infantry, and their weapons look like spears, but they also have armored vehicles, and they have an air force point. Whether it is an armored vehicle or a fighter jet, it is very advanced at first glance, far exceeding the level of the Earth. Nick Fury shook his head. Damn, they hid so well. A country with such advanced technology disguised itself as a third world country and went undiscovered for so many years. This is simply a big mistake. Totally impossible. Suffice it to say, their technology is far beyond the imagination of a Superman class to do such a thing. An excited light appeared in Luthor's eyes. This portal is really outrageous. When Doctor Strange opened the portal before, he only teleported 1 or 2 people at a time, making them think that the limit of the portal is like this. Can't, but didn't think that the legendary gate could be opened so wide, allowing so many troops to pass through. If you get this kind of technology yourself, it will be a big killer. The mobility of the army will be maximized. And more importantly, to do this, all you need is a magician to draw a circle. This value for money is the most outrageous. He has collected a lot of magic things. It seems that he may be able to study it, and at this time, the magicians really let them realize how outrageous this group of magicians are. Behind the captain of the United States, on every ground, in every sky, there was a little fire, and then the fire became a circle. At that moment, the magicians didn't know how many portals were opened. Falcon flew out of the portal and landed behind the captain of the United States. Doctor Strange also walked out of the portal with Guardians of Galaxy, and Star-Lord actually flew to the front. And then Spider-Man made a beautiful landing, and he finally returned to Earth. Just saw their death, and now the audience is thrilled when they see their resurrection. Iron Man in front of the screen saw Spider-Man come to life, and people were relieved because he knows what he sees. Maybe the future or another parallel universe. No matter which universe, this child can survive. It is really good. Then the audience saw a whole bunch of magicians. It seems that the magicians have also broken the law of not participating in real world battles, and they have also joined the battle against Thanos. The odds of human beings will increase by a few percent. On the other side, Asgard's last Valkyrie, riding Asgard's unique Pegasus, walked out with Asgard's army. Thor in front of the screen was so excited that he couldn't contain himself. He desperately searched the crowd for Heimdall and Loki. Unfortunately, he was disappointed that he did not find these 2 people. At this time, he realized that the 2 of them did not die because of Thanos snapping his fingers. So this time no one resurrected them. Not even the Avengers will resurrect them with the Infinity Gauntlet. Because this may have some unpredictable consequences. The Scarlet Witch in front of the screen was also shocked by Raw. She saw a red figure descend from the sky. It was herself. He was also resurrected. What about Vision? Although she doesn't know Vision now, she still hopes that Vision can be resurrected in this future. It's a pity that she didn't find any trace of Mirage. Then she also understood. Infinite Gems only resurrected the one killed by Thanos. With the Infinity Gauntlet. Hawkeye in front of the screen is also trying hard to find the figure of Black Widow, but he also can't find it. He also understood. He said, why not resurrect Natasha Romanoff? So many people can be resurrected, so can she be resurrected? Don't tell me such nonsense. That violates the laws of nature. I don't care. Resurrection. There are so many people, not more than one of her. Seeing the future Natasha Romanoff die in front of him, he can't stand the fact that Black Widow can't be resurrected. Black Widow smiled. Are you stupid? I'm not dead. This is a future that hasn't happened and won't happen. Ant-Man in front of the screen also smirked because he saw the resurrected Hope. Even if this future might not happen, he wants Hope to be alive. What surprised Iron Man the most was that he actually saw Pepper. Little Pepper actually put on the nano battlesuit that she created for her. Did she even go to war? Although this is something Iron Man doesn't want to see, he is still excited to think that he can fight with Bo Diddley. Heyo. Z. It's hard to express this feeling in words. The audience cheered, because only now did they finally see hope of defeating Thanos. On the screen. Iron Man and Thor also came out of their coma. Doctor Strange said to the king, "Is that all you need?" Obviously, he had previously ordered the king and the magicians to bring everyone over. Wong frowned and said, "You still think it's too little?" Then there was a loud noise in the ruins on the other side. And I saw that the huge amounts of Ant-Man had emerged from the ruins. He put his hand down and he held all the people in the previous ruins in his hand. They didn't even die. At this moment, the audience was even more excited. The hope of victory is at hand. Humanity wins this time. Seeing this scene, the captain of the United States breathed a sigh of relief. He waved. Thor's hammer flew into his hand and he said, "Avengers, assemble." That sound is exciting. Chapter 249, Two Women Against Thanos. With the captains assemble, the human army and Thanos army collided. In an instant, countless people died tragically. Iron Man flew towards Pepper and took cover for her. Two nano battle suits back to back, energy missiles flying around, hitting the Thanos soldiers who were coming up and howling. At this time, Black Dwarf searched Iron Man directly and saw that Iron Man was about to be chopped to death with an axe. Suddenly a cobweb shot out, directly pulling Black Dwarf to the ground. Spider-Man appears and he saves Iron Man. Spider-Man said excitedly, "Mr. Tony, you must not believe what I have encountered." "Didn't we fight aliens and Thanos before, and then I turned to ashes? It's so weird. I think I must have passed out, and when I woke up, you were gone. But Doctor Strange is still there," he said. "Boy, it's been 5 years and we are going to help them." Then he turned into a golden circle. The audience couldn't help but smile knowingly. This kid, sure enough, even on the battlefield, he still talks so much nonsense. The Iron Man in the picture couldn't help but hug him. His regrets over the past few years were finally made up. The other side. Star-Lord is struggling to fight Thanos men. He missed a man and was about to be hit, but a cold shot killed Thanos men. Star-Lord turned his head and saw Gamora. There were tears in his eyes because he knew that Gamora had died at the hands of Thanos. However, since he can be resurrected, why can't Gamora be resurrected? "I thought I lost you." He reached out to touch Gamora's face, but he didn't want to. But Gamora almost broke his arm. Afterwards, Gamora hit the Star-Lord with a knee. "Don't touch." Star-Lord fell to the ground clutching the lining and said, "The last time I escaped, I didn't expect this time." Gamora looked at Nebula with disgust on her face and asked, "That's him?" "No way." Everyone immediately understood that Gamora was dead. She didn't die under Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet, so she didn't come back to life. And this Gamora came here with Thanos. The past Gamora. Hearing Gamora's question, Nebula said helplessly, "Besides him, there is only one tree you can choose." Even if the video is playing out the battle of human life and death. But the audience couldn't help but laugh at this moment. Star-Lord provided almost all the laughs in front of the video. The Star-Lord's face was extremely difficult to see. So this is the third time. Damn, I'll have to pay attention in the future. This woman is so fierce. Where did I see her? Thinking of this, he turned to look at Gamora, who was also in prison. Gamora felt that his eyes were on you. "What do you want to do?" Star-Lord shook his head and said, "I just suddenly lost confidence in the future." On the battlefield. Hawkeye held the Infinity Gauntlet and ran around. There are enemies coming from all sides. He yelled, "What are we going to do with this Infinity Gauntlet?" The seriously injured Hulk, who threw a four-handed monster with one hand, said, "We must return it to its original place." Iron Man said on the comms channel, "Now it can't be sent back. Thanos has destroyed the quantum channel." At this point, Ant-Man said, "We have other quantum channels." Then he rang the car's controls. When Dr. Pym created the quantum tunnel, it was in that yellow van. Iron Man asked, "How long does it take to activate this quantum channel?" Ant-Man said, 10 minutes. Then he and a smaller Hope flew to open the quantum channel. The other side of Doctor Strange falling from the sky. Just a trick. They do not know how many seconds off Thanos soldiers. Iron Man found him and asked, "You said we only have 1/16,000 of opportunities to win. This is it?" Doctor Strange said, "If I say it would not have happened, the Other side point Thanos finally found the Infinity Gauntlet's whereabouts. Then Infinity Gauntlet from Hawkeye relay has been into the hands of the Black Panther. Thanos strike down the Black Panther. Black Panther a roll. Immediately stood up. Iron Man before the screen as very unexpected point he said, "Dap, the Prince Chala, even stronger than we thought." Everyone is nodding. You can blow hard by Thanos. So not many people can point. Seeing the screen of the Infinity Gauntlet, Thanos would grab hands and then a red figure stand in front of him. Is the Scarlet Witch point. Scarlet Witch exudes red eyes, red light that contains a chilling atmosphere, or inspiring, and said, "You won my everything." This time, she was really a witch, mysterious and dangerous temperament. Thanos wonder, said, "I do not know you. You will know." Scarlet Witch flying the two spacecraft wreckage under her control and crashed into Thanos, but it was cut open. Thanos knife point. Then Wanda sent numerous red magic wave to him point, but Thanos wore her attack, rushed to the front of the Scarlet Witch, machete's direct fall point. The audience was shocked. They know how the knife Thanos wrote terrible. Wanda fear cannot stop. Scarlet Witch is in the hands of the red shift saber block down point and even reverse thrust back directly. Zebbing even vibranium shield can be cut off, knife torn in two point. Then she again a hand. Thanos body will be wrapped up numerous red light point. Thanos armor began to frantically chipping. Simply could not move. I just feel must be tearing even their own general. Sent bursts of screams. Wanda to shredded Thanos. Screen in front of the audience stared. How strong their previous Thanos is. Clear played for so long. By so multiple hit both and nothing. Like, now actually in screams, he injured. Wanda actually really singled him win. Raiders really did not lie. Constantine muttered. This is a powerful yet origin magic power. Ancient One magician shook his head. No, this is not the origin magic power. She has not got to grips origin magic power. The last thing evidently Wanda Raiders timeline took place after the war. It's a good thing that humans won. Zatanna hit the tongue channel. Origin magic power. What is the magic? Now, she is so strong that if she resorted origin magic power, Thanos certain death is not it. As a magic magician, she is more sensitive to this. Just at this time, Thanos shouted, "Fire!" Pointer's ship's gun did not fire earlier in the war, but now toward the ground bombardment crazy. Even regardless of the enemy point, Thanos is now seen in what kind of embarrassment. Magician who immediately bare shield, dangsha most of the attacks, but a blast wave directly shift the Scarlet Witch blown out point. Everyone then remembered the Scarlet Witch raiders in the sentence. Thanos has extensive combat experience, even stronger than him. He can find a way to cope, to unite against him, sure enough, the kind he most feared opponents. All aspects are stronger, outrageous. Chapter 250. I am Iron Man. This time, the artillery fire also directly blasted the coast, causing a big flood. If the flood is allowed to pour down, then the human beings will lose all combat power except for a few people who can fly point. This is clearly what the spacecraft did on purpose. At this time, Doctor Strange used his magic to control the water that was about to pour in point in front of the screen point. Iron Man turned pale and said, "We still underestimate Thanos. His ship's firepower is so strong that if we'd had the ground scrubbed in the first place, we'd have hit harder. Except for the magician, there is no way for humans to prevent such a strong air fire point. If at that time, they can only use the last method. Let the magician teleport them outside the spaceship." Batman said, "Thanos was driven out of his mind by you guys. He said before that when dealing with other planets, he never mixed his personal emotions, but obviously this time he was offended by you. He wanted to kill you with his own hands. He would also be irritated. Once a man is provoked, he loses his right judgment. You may be able to take advantage of this." Everyone can't help but nod. "But you tell us it's useless." They can't hear it in the future point. At this time, the Infinity Gauntlet has been handed over to Spider-Man point. Countless gunfire hit him, and as long as he was touched just once, he would be finished point. Not only him, but when Thanos remembered that he still had aerial firepower, the extremely terrifying firepower played a huge amount of role point. One of the strongest among the human beings was bombarded to the ground by the artillery of the spaceship point. The human coalition will suffer heavy casualties at this moment. The main gun of the Thanos battleship suddenly turned to the sky and shot frantically into the sky point. Everyone is stunned. Iron Man asked, Friday, what are they firing at? Something's going through the atmosphere, his artificial intelligence said Friday. Then a golden brilliance slammed into Thanos' spaceship directly against the endless artillery fire, knocking it across easily go through the cake like a bullet. At this time, everyone discovered that there was a woman in the golden light. Blonde, cold, looking a little arrogant. It was Captain Marvel. This time, she finally came back. When the battle was undecided. She circled in the air and crashed directly into it from below the spaceship. Countless fireworks exploded in Thanos' spaceship, and the continuous explosion was like thunder. Thanos' huge spaceship was smashed directly by her. The audience is dumbfounded. Even Superman thought about it in his heart. If he changed himself, would he be able to do this? This is really hard to say. After all, he has not tried to destroy a spaceship directly like this. Lug murmured. I remembered, in our world, the scene of the human spaceship facing the water droplets of the Trisolaran. Not only him, everyone felt this way. In front of Captain Marvel, Thanos' supership is literally paper. This woman is so strong. Come early. Isn't the battle over already? Sadly, as soon as the audience will know, they still underestimate Thanos. On the screen. When Thanos saw this scene, he was also stunned. He really didn't expect that he would encounter such a monster at this time. The Captain of the United States told Captain Marvel about their current predicament. So Captain Marvel fell to Spider-Man's side and took over the Infinity Gauntlet. Spider-Man handed her the gloves and said, "Can one handle it, even if he has spider telepathy? The armor's protection is strong enough, but he was the focus of artillery before, and he still suffered serious injuries at this time." A female hero walked up to Spider-Man and blocked him behind him. He's not alone, apparently. Spider-Man is very pleased with these superheroes. They then charged towards the Thanos Legion again. Captain Marvel even rushed forward with the Infinity Gauntlet in his arms. He didn't stop at all. No matter what stood in front of her, she would be knocked away by her. This made everyone think of water droplets again. But how could Thanos concede so easily? He picked up the broken knife in his hand and directly destroyed the quantum channel. Captain Marvel was blown away by the power of the explosion. The Infinity Gauntlet fell to Thanos, and Iron Man wasn't too far away. The two fought again, and Iron Man was sent flying. Thor and the Captain of the United States rushed over and were also sent flying. Thanos finally grabbed the Infinity Gauntlet and saw that he was about to bring the Infinity Gauntlet. Suddenly a brilliance flashed again. Captain Marvel arrived again and started a hand-to-hand fight with Thanos. Unexpectedly, Thanos' fighting skills were extremely brilliant, and 3 punches knocked the surprise team away again. He finally put on the gloves, however, before he snapped his fingers, Captain Marvel flew over again like a candy cane. This time, it directly reached his fingers, preventing his fists from closing. Thanos hit his head, and Captain Marvel didn't move. Thanos was stunned. This was the first time that Thanos met, and he could be tough on his own people when he was fighting. However, he soon had a countermeasure. He directly deducted the power gem from the Infinity Gauntlet and punched Captain Marvel again. Captain Marvel can't stand the power of the Power Stone either. 4 flowers 0 in front of the screen. Everyone's faces were ugly. Captain the United States said, "It seems that what the Raiders said is really good at all." Thanos' combat experience is really rich, and in any situation, he can find a way to turn defeat into victory. Obviously, Captain Marvel's performance is a little better than Thanos, at least not weaker than him, but there is no way to take Thanos. On the screen, Doctor Strange gave Iron Man a match. Iron Man seemed to understand something. He rushed to Thanos again to fight him for the Infinity Gauntlet, but how could he possibly be stronger than Thanos? One more punch. The hearts of all of you watching Iron Man are just ordinary people in battle suits. Really, the fight was too tragic. Too tragic. Thanos finally got his wish and put on the gloves. He raised his Infinity Gauntlet and said proudly, "I'm the Destiny." He finally cracked the damn box again. At this moment, everyone just felt that their hearts were about to stop. Wanda even screamed out, "Could it be that these people have worked so hard in the future and still lost? Is there really no way to defeat Thanos?" Unfortunately, this time, Infinity Gauntlet did not respond. Thanos turned his hand and saw that the gems on the Infinity Gauntlet had long since disappeared. On the other side, Iron Man who could barely sit up, raised his hand, and infinite gems actually appeared in his hand point after all. He designed the gloves, and he has control. The power of infinite gems exploded, and his body began to crumble crazily, and no blood came out at all, because his blood was all scorched. Finally he said lightly, "I am Iron Man." Then he snapped his fingers, then all of Thanos' troops turned to ashes. Thanos sighed, sat to one side, and then also turned into ashes, and Iron Man just sat like that. He couldn't get up at all. Now he has no good flesh all over his body, except for the nano armor. He is immortal, and he cannot withstand the backlash from infinite gems. Road fell into the bloody Iron Man, and his face became extremely ugly. Spider-Man landed beside him. "Mr. Stark, do you hear me?" There was already a cry in his voice. "We won. You made it. We won. Mr. Stark, we won." But Iron Man's eyes were out of focus until little Pepper fell in front of him. He could barely say 2 words. Pepper. Everyone knows that his deadline has come. 7. Chapter 251. The Time Authority exists because of Iron Man. This time, Super directly put all the final battle parts of Avengers Alliance 4 into the video. Among so many videos, this is the only place where such a long clip has been put at once. Because this is almost, he has seen the most exciting team battle in the superhero battle. Seeing this, Iron Man opened his mouth wide. Turns out I'm dead. It turns out that the only chance to win is that I need to die before I can win. He had mixed feelings in his heart. He really doesn't want to die. Nobody wants to die. Is there no way to survive and win, Captain? The United States, Nick Fury, Black Widow and others looked at Iron Man again. To be honest, when they first got in touch, they didn't have the slightest impression of this billionaire and playboy. But time and time again they saw Iron Man's 157 astonishing move in the Raiders at the Battle of New York. He was willing to drag black bullets through the wormhole to blow up Chitauri's main fleet. In the face of Thanos, he faced difficulties again and again, bruised again and again, until he finally gave his life. Just a great man. When I first met, who would have thought that this guy would be such a person? Iron Man laughed. "What do you mean by looking at me like that? Didn't it all sound good before? It's something that happens in the future, so we won't die. This time we will definitely change the ending. Besides, there are strategies. Although strategies are often not very reliable, they are sometimes very reliable." At this moment, the narration finally sounded again. Even if the Avengers didn't stop Thanos, Thanos really snapped his fingers and destroyed half of life in the universe. Avengers still managed to find a way to win at a natural cost, including the death of Iron Man and Black Widow. And this strategy is for if you really get into such a situation. To reverse this situation, you have to think a little more far-reaching. That's what Doctor Strange sees in the future. Why must you lose first and find a way to travel through time before you can win? Does it really have to be this way to win? Probably not. From the perspective of the butterfly effect, a small change now is enough to cause a tsunami-like drastic change in the future. Though Thanos is strong, but some of you can still take on him. It doesn't make sense, doesn't it? It's time to introduce another new organization, the Time Administration. This group has previously mentioned that they will cut out other timelines due to time travel or other accidents. A lot of things can be deduced from the way this group acts. The Time Authority has been cutting out other timelines in this world, leaving only the Avengers who lose first, then travel to the past, get infinite gems, and then win. This is a victory timeline. It turns out that they may have influenced Doctor Strange's observations of the timeline. Not to mention that the important thing is, why does the Time Administration feel that this timeline is the correct one? Time travel and time administration. Is it easy enough here? At this moment, Batman suddenly realized. He clapped his hands and said, "Is it because Tony discovered the way of time travel? Future talents have the technology of time travel and set up a time administration, so they have to get the Avengers down this path, and only then can the time administration exist." Batman's words shocked everyone. The time administration has something to do with time travel, so that's why they kept this timeline. It turned out to be so. Doctor Strange's face also became extremely ugly. Has his future self, the dignified Sorcerer Supreme, been affected by the Time Administration? He turned his head to look at Ancient One and said, Master Ancient One, do you know the existence of this organization? Ancient One said, there was a little awareness, but they didn't affect the original timeline. Doctor Strange shook his head and said, I don't care what's original or not, and I don't care whether the Time Administration can exist or not. If there is another way, but let us choose such a tragic victory, I will not forgive them. So, Bay wasn't talking nonsense. Point: you must know that when Iron Man met Kang the Conqueror in an animation, he found that the underlying code of their equipment was actually written by him. That is to say, the Time Administration was developed because of Iron Man's theory of time travel. Point: Conqueror Kang said he was so arrogant, but in fact he was just picking up Iron Man's teeth. Point: I have to say that Iron Man, the first engineer of the Marvel Universe appointed by the Eternal God, is really awesome. Point: also, the first designated scientist in the Marvel Universe is Dr. Reed, the rubber man from the Fantastic Four, nicknamed Godstick. The narration continued, as long as you put aside the restriction that you can only win by doing this, there are many strategies. Infinity Gauntlet's backlash is strong, but the Hulk can barely handle it, and so can Captain Marvel and Scarlet Witch. Wanda's strength is not stable yet. There may be some problems. She can ignore it for now. You can call Captain Marvel back before you start snapping your fingers, and you can do this after everyone is there. The first snap of the Hulk hits, resurrecting all those killed by Thanos. Crate to Captain Marvel hits and destroys all of Thanos' army. Is it easy? Besides, there are so many things to try, isn't Iron Man already obtained from Dr. Zola and Nia the technology that can digitize human thoughts and upload them to hardware devices? Before the decisive battle with Thanos, you can make a backup of the Avengers' mind and consciousness. If they really die in battle, 0.7 will activate their mechanical bodies. Let them activate infinite gems with their mechanical bodies. It doesn't matter if the body is damaged, just replace it. You can even learn from Ultron and use vibranium to create a living body backup for them. If you have enough biotechnology, you can even clone their real body, turn the data into consciousness, and send it back to the new body. There is still a bit of Spectrum in the front, and Sube in the back starts to habitually talk nonsense again. Point: but it is not impossible to do. So point: with their technology and strength, they can do so much. Even as long as they know that the future will be like this, they can think of more ways themselves. Sube's crap is here. The fourth and final guide to Iron Man is over. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.